I am the man in the box. Dun, hung, won't you try and
What have we become? United in hate. When did we become a divided state? Don't hate me because I'm not like you. Don't hate me, it's just a point of view. When did we become divided by hate? What have we done? Divided state. Don't hate me because I'm not like you.
Yo, boom, what's up? This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles live. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Today's going to be a great show. We have an old friend on that we have a rich and vibrant history with. So there's a lot to talk about. Yo, Eddie, what's up? Yo, Eddie, I got to reach out, man. We want to come out west and do 2 shows, LA and up your way, San Francisco, Oakland area. So, yo, I want to reach out. Incendiary Device wants to play with you in your hometown. So what's up, Chris? Brother, are you excited? I am. Robert Hogg in Scotland, what's up? Yes. Yeah, Eddie, let's get down, bro. Chris Hoffman in Arizona, good. Yep. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Bro, it ain't Wednesday. Fucking knuckleheads, man. It's Sunday, dude. You know? I am the man in the box. Gertie, what's up? This is going to be a great show today. I am friggin' excited. Good to see everybody. Dee Dee, what's up? Larry Kelly, my man. Darren, yes, it's going to be great. Lori Dawn, of course, Women of the Pitch, shout out. Nerd Cage Live, yo, I'm coming on your show in a couple weeks, man. Do your homework. Don't have me come on. Listen, man, don't have me come on your show and like up on some bullshit. So do your homework, Nerd Cage Live. Help me help you, you know? Hey, Johnny Mike. Yeah, up in Canada, it's Wednesday. Hey, it's happening in London. Speaking of London.
Hello.
London calling. Come in, London.
What's up?
Go ahead, London.
We had a tornado warning this morning.
In Long Island?
Yeah, did anyone else get that notification on their phone?
Bro, I live in a fucking pre-war building in Manhattan. There could be a nuclear holocaust outside my window, and it would be like, hey, is something going on out there? Like, it could be like a global, like, it could be The Walking Dead.
An alien invasion.
Yeah. It could be like a, you know. What's up with you?
What's up with you?
How are you, Drew and Steve? How are you? Oh.
Hey, how are you? Hello.
Hey, how are you? How are you? All right. What's your shirt, Steve? KCBC? What is that?
That is called Kings County Brewers Collective.
Oh, boy.
That's a Brooklyn craft beer.
All right. If it makes you happy.
I know you're a big beer guy.
It can't suck that bad. Speaking of things that make us happy, how about...
Oh.
How about photo of the day?
How about it?
Here we go. Photo of the day. This is cool. Let's start with, you know, let's just, we're on the clock here. So let's just get right to it. Does anybody know what this is? Boom. Photo of the day. Anybody? Anybody know what this is? Right answers only, please. Okay. Does anybody know what this is?
Does anybody know what time it is?
Is it Hatebreed?
Hey, Ray Hogan.
Hey, yo, shouting out Shouting out Roy from Downsat. What's up? What's up, Roy? Is it? Okay. Yo, what's up, Don Foos? Wow, they're coming out of the woodwork for today's show.
Don, what's up?
You know? Is it the Smiths? No. Is
No.
it Johnny Marr? No.
No.
Is it the Talented Brother? Wow.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Is it? Is it Rod Stewart? Close. Even if I say right answers only, please, people are so conditioned, you know?
That's right. Don't take away their fun.
Is it the less cunty Gallagher, bro?
Yes, for sure.
Is it George Harrison?
He wishes.
All right. Is it Noel Gallagher doing a signing? Is it Noel Gallagher? It's a Noel Gallagher.
Yes, and Noel. Yes, this is Noel Gallagher. This was out in Central Park last, what was it, Saturday?
It was,
what they're calling Rumsey Playfield now, which I didn't even know they called it that until that day. But
Rumsey Playground.
Rumsey Playfield is what they call that little concert venue.
Dude,
and,
I remember when I was in another lifetime, when I was a young teenager, we used to go hang out at the Shell, and behind the Shell was that playground, and we'd go sit back there and we would smoke reefer.
Exactly. Yeah. There he is. This is the Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds is the band, which had, 3 background singers and 2 keyboard players, and Gem from Oasis on guitar with him. Really, really lush sounding stuff, bouquets of flowers all over the stage, but great bill all around. Band called Metric opened up.
Yeah, somebody was asking how was Metric. I was there. I didn't see it.
They were really good, but my friends that I'm always there for was Garbage.
Right.
Garbage played, and they were fantastic. I been lucky enough to be shooting them for many, many years, and they just they always deliver. Shirley's amazing.
That's Shirley Manson, and of course Butch Vig plays drums.
Oh yeah, Butch Vig, who moonlights as a a half decent producer, produced a couple of decent records, and
Butch Vig,
tremendous, like man, that's the man behind Nevermind, among other things.
Didn't he produce Siamese Dream by the Smashing Pumpkins?
I think that's a good question. I think so. I know he did Dirty by Sonic Youth. Like, he's done so much stuff, and he's just a tremendous. Actually, all the musicians in Garbage are producers. That's sort of how they all bonded.
Here's a shot from that show of me and Astoria Lou.
There he is.
Yep.
And you guys were high up. You guys were like on that 3rd tier. That was kind of cool.
It was like a VIP thing. At least we were in front of the stage.
Yeah.
And
it was hot as balls that day. Number one.
Yeah, it was hot.
And 5,500 people in there.
Listen, I'm going to take this moment to openly jock Liam Gallagher and Oasis. This is a band that I love. I only recently really did a deep dive into their catalog. Sure, I knew, back in the day, I remember what's the story, Morning Glory, and this and that. But in the last year, I saw an Oasis documentary, and I was just like, wow, like, this is an interesting story. And I started listening to Oasis, and man, I love that band. They're great. And so I found out they were playing within walking distance of where I live in my apartment. And, I went and I loved it, man. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Liam Gallagher, Noel Gallagher, and Oasis. To me, this is just, listen, you know what? This is just motherfucking me talking. But they're like one of the last, like, great rock and roll bands from that bygone dinosaur era. They were like the last band that just put out a body of work like that. I think they're great.
I got to tell you, Liam's, in regards to the solo work, Liam's solo work, I really like a little bit more than Noel's, honestly.
I like it all, man.
But the funny thing is, I was there in the park walking around early, and there was people starting to gather by where I go to get my credentials.
Mhm.
And you could always tell, like, the really hardcore, fans that fly in from other countries. They wear the soccer jerseys and
Yeah,
everything.
sure.
And Liam, Noel came out, with his guy, and he stopped and he signed some stuff and the guitars. He signed one guy's shoe. One girl didn't have anything to sign. She took money out. He was signing her money. But I happened to take a picture of this one guy getting his shirt signed,
Yeah.
his jersey, and I walked over and I showed him the picture, and he was like welling up. He was so,
that's one of those bands, though. That band, those two brothers mean a lot to a lot of people, man. Like,
oh yeah,
like I get it. I get that band. I understand. Like Liam Gallagher has an incredible voice. It touches people. There's certain people, artists like Liam Gallagher's voice, like really touches people, man.
and they had a little of that old fashioned like English rock swagger that you don't.
I
see.
love it, man. I love it. If you love the Beatles and you love the Rolling Stones, and you love, all that stuff.
Hey, Vinny Doke.
Oh wow, poor John in London is like, oh guys, enough with the Oasis shit. All right, that said, I'm sorry, man. I apologize.
Well, we don't give any New York bands enough love, apparently.
Yeah, you know what? All right, bro. Listen, we're gonna have a great show today.
Yeah, I know how excited you are about this one. So
I am, man. I'm excited about this one.
I got my coffee. I got a front row seat here.
All right. I'll see you in a bit.
You got it.
This is the one, the only New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, Upstate Records, and the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rowley, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.texassilverrush.com. Come on now, 126. Hardcore Clothing is a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise, like you, my friend. They are about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them. Ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. That said, let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guest on. Let's make sure nobody's killing each other in the chat room, or we have not been infiltrated by Rick to life or something worse. Seems like we're good. Hey, Victoria, how are you, hon? Good to see you, Vinny. I hope you're feeling well. Thanks for coming through. Here we go. Today's guest is an American film and music video producer and director hailing from New York City. As a music video director, he's known for his work with Gangrene, Suicidal Tendencies, Bad Brains, Sepultura, Alice in Chains, Temple of the Dog, The Replacements, Kiss, Pantera, and many more. He directed American Hardcore, the first comprehensive documentary chronicling this thing of ours. He is also the co-founder of the Slam Dance Film Festival. Please welcome native New Yorker coming at us from the Slam Dance office in Los Angeles, California, our old friend, Mr. Paul Rachman. Hey, man.
Hey, Drew. How you doing?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm excited. It gave me a great opportunity to sort of delve into the past a little bit and a lot of the stuff that you've done and it was great, man. There's lots to talk about,
Cool. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's just jump into it. Yeah, here we go already. A little Roy from Downset says Paul directed the Downset anger video. Of course.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
We
Yes.
did some of that in London. Actually went to London, and we did it in. They're up from the valley there. Oh man, it's on the tip of. We shot where they're from, and in London.
Where was it? Hey, Roy. What Roy will know. Roy's watching.
Yeah. They're from Deep Valley, Los
Yeah.
Angeles, and the name of the place is on the tip of my tongue. But whatever, Roy will know. Hi, Roy.
So how did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical and film household? You know, how did film and music come into your orbit as a young person?
Well, actually, as a little kid, I was really into cameras. I have these pictures that I couldn't find last night of me, like 2-3 years old, holding my dad's cameras. And I was just into photography. And, of course, being a teenager, in the 70s, you're into music. Everybody's into music, buying albums and everything. A lot of it was just rock, what we were hearing on the radio. I think a lot of things crystallized for me as a filmmaker, and my change in music was really college in Boston. There's two events that happened. Of course, like in '79, we're all getting the California Uber Alice singles. We're listening to Pay to Come, California Uber Alice, the very, very first singles that are coming up with this new sound, right? And I'm into it. I'm listening to this and I'm really into it. And
what was the first stuff that kind of that? What was it? Dead Kennedys, or like what was the first like inkling of this like exciting new genre?
Right. So before I saw any shows, right. It was Pay to Come and California Uber Alice. It had that's what I think it was. In terms of, this punk turning into hardcore, if we're focusing on that. But it was so distinct and so different. And, the DIY ethic was there. It was something that you could feel closer to. It was kind of secret almost. Then, this stuff hadn't blown up yet. And so it was a lot of listening. And then, what was happening, let's say at a more commercial level, is I think, of course, the New York City punk thing was a big deal, and the Sex Pistols, Ramones, Blondie, Sex Pistols, all that. And by '78, that stuff's all on the radio, right? At least up in Boston, WBCN, those stations are playing this stuff, and those are the bands touring, Talking Heads and all that stuff. But during college, I broke up with this girl who was living in Long Island.
When you say college, are you talking about Boston, or it seems
University? I'm at Boston University. From '78 to '82, I'm there. But so I'm talking like '79, really. The beginning is really, the distinct two singles I had that were very distinct from ’79. Leading into '80 was California Uber Alice and Pay to Come. Really,
there you go. Sure.
There's other stuff going on, but those are really fresh in my memory. They got played all the time.
Right.
And I go to California in the summer of '80 because my roommate, before I was living with Al Peters, who we'll get to before at college, they were spending the summer on the West Coast. I'm like, fuck it, I'm hop on a plane and I go to Berkeley, right? And it was like the whole thing was like my parents were like, you got to go to school. You can't stop school. And I wanted to stay there through the fall. So I enrolled in one class at Berkeley, and I went once, right? And this is where I see the Dead Kennedys. I see all this music that I'm only hearing about on the East Coast.
And when you say, is this like, what were like the venues that what were the things that were popping off in San Francisco?
Well, there were so many. I mean, obviously there was the Mabuhay that I went to a lot. That the first time I saw the Dead Kennedys was probably June of 1980.
Wow.
And there's like 40 people there, 30, and Jello's wearing the white dentist jacket and green gloves. It was he wasn't into his all hardcore thing yet. It was performance art.
Sure.
It was amazing, and there was just this explosion of music happening there that you could go to and be with, and this was the music I was listening to. I didn't go to DC. I don't even know if the Bad Brains were really playing live that much then. So this is an important summer because the Mabuhay, the On Broadway. There's this place, the State Theater, I think it's called. There's all these and then there's shows that are happening in these weird warehouse type of things, but suburban lawns, the Offs, the Residents, the Kennedys, and then you have the LA bands coming up. You have TSOL, Circle Jerks, Black Flag. All these bands are coming up from Southern California,
right?
And because they're only touring the West Coast then. The Black Flag, Kennedy, they don't start their national tours till late 80,
Yeah.
So that was an amazing.
San Francisco was within striking distance.
It was amazing. And I was living in Berkeley, so it was fucked up because, they have a subway there, but the thing closes at midnight. We're going into San Francisco every fucking night. And the clubs there close at 2. And the only way you could get back is on the public bus. And you have to change buses in Oakland. So you have to take a bus from, 3 a.m. You're on a bus from San Francisco to Oakland over the bridge, over the Bay Bridge. And then you have to wait for an hour at the most fucked up newsstand in downtown Oakland.
There you go.
Scarier than anything ever in New York. It was
and we're talking 1980.
Yeah, 1980 Oakland. And, you'd have 3 punks coming, 3 white punks coming back from San Francisco. Everybody else just looked like they wanted to fuck with us,
Yeah.
And so that was the routine all the time.
Yeah.
And but it was great. And I think that summer, by the time I spend the summer and the fall there, and by the time I come back to Boston, just focus on wanting to get out, shit's happening in Boston. By 81, Boston, not LA, SSD. And I start living, my roommate becomes Al Peters, who
that's where we cross paths.
Yeah.
But Boston was an exciting place at that.
Yeah. So, I think, San Francisco is early, LA South Bay. LA had its little punk thing with the Germs and X, but the South Bay explodes. I mean, Christ, the very first time Black Flag starts rehearsing, I think it's in 77, and they call themselves Panic,
Yeah.
So the South Bay is really important. Hermosa Beach, Long Beach, Huntington Beach.
I mean, of course, Black Flag, Jackie's from there, TSOL.
All those bands start touring. Black Flag goes out, Dead Kennedys go out, they pave the way, and they're coming to the East Coast now. And all these little hardcore bands are happening. So when I saw, in 81, I see Black Flag, I see the Bad Brains. I'm going to the Gallery East. The Boston hardcore bands are happening. The VFW Hall in Cambridge is happening, where Minor Threat plays and all these bands, Misfits, later on the channel. But it fucking hits you in the gut. Yeah. It's like, oh shit, I want to be part of this. And I'm not a musician, I'm not going to start a band. Around the same time, there was an art house theater on the BU campus called the Nickelodeon. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
Right between Warren Towers and right near the Howard Johnsons.
I do remember it. Yeah.
So one night I go at midnight. I'm living in Warren Towers.
The infamous BU Warren
I was there
Towers.
Freshman year. They kicked the whole floor out because we fucked everything up. We threw all the furniture out the window onto the whole floor got kicked out. But I was living.
Excuse me. Let me just say that Warren Towers was like a Soviet bloc.
Yeah.
Like
fucking ugly place.
It was just this cinder block. It was like something you see out of the Soviet Union 1965, brutal. Just brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal. So they kicked us out and put us into these shitty apartments. You know, like the Mass Pike goes behind there, and we were on the other side of the Mass Pike. Kind of like Brookline, and it was fucked up. So anyway, I go to Nickelodeon, and I see at midnight, I see Eraserhead, David Lynch's first movie. And so now I'm listening to this music already that like, fuck, music can sound like this. This is fucking great. I could play this maybe. I don't know. I didn't have the confidence really as a musician. And then I see Eraserhead. And I'm in the theater, I'm going, fuck, movies can look like this? It's like 16 grainy black and white, shit's out of focus. And I'm like, fuck, I'm in, right? That week or that month, I buy a Super 8 camera, I buy a Bolex. I start interning at cable companies to learn video, and I start shooting bands.
Wow.
And that was it. And it was this mindset turn. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I had some stupid major at BU, International Relations. I come back from San Francisco. The following summer, I went to NYU Film School. But this is it. This is what I want to do. I want to be a music video director. I want to be part of the scene.
What was it? Was it consciously like I want to be a music video director, or or initially I wanted, this is important stuff I want to document?
Yeah. Well, you know, MTV is bubbling, but they're not playing this shit.
That's right.
But this is my opportunity to film bands. You know, I don't have access to MTV type bands. You know, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So this is my access. And my roommate, Alec, kind of became, you know, one of the more successful kind of hardcore promoters in Boston doing shows. So all these bands started sleeping on our floors, you know, Flipper, the Kennedys didn't sleep on our floors. They fucking found hotels or other nicer places. But DOA.
Let me just say that, you know, Alec Peters, and along with our friend, God rest his soul, you know, John Scarimbas, they produced, you know, for those that may, you know, they put the Bad Brains in Jumpin' Jack Flash. They brought the Dead Kennedys into 9 Lansdowne. They brought Flipper into the Media Workshop that the cops shut down. But they were the only ones that were like communicating with these out-of-town bands and being like, yeah, come to Boston. You know, so those guys broke ground in Boston. And let me just also say, just to add some perspective to it, that Alec Peters ended up working, managing Gangrene and being an A&R guy for Mercury Records.
Yeah. So I'm hanging with that crew. They're my roommates, and I start hanging with Gangrene a lot. We're going to like Gallery East, all the shows. I'm at the early SSD shows, all that stuff. It's just, you know, there's something about the music. It hits you in the gut, and that's it. It's like a religion. You're converted. Yeah. So basically I shoot a lot, and I go on the road. I go on the road with these tours that are, and you know, this is a little bit later, but you know, I go on the road with these Circle Jerks Gangrene tours, you know, an East Coast one and a West Coast one, which are just fucking infamous. These fucking guys, you know, Chris and Keith, they're just drinking all day long. They're snorting coke all night long. They're a fucking wreck. They're getting in trouble with the cops. There's a fucking trail of a mess on these tours. And I'm on the tour with you know, 3 cameras, a video camera and 2 film cameras, you know.
Now you sent me a picture. Is this the video camera now this is great. This is what's known as isn't this a VHS camcorder?
Yeah, VHS movie. So what happened was,
Hitachi.
and it was a cheap fucking one because it's made by Hitachi. So I was shooting a lot of films, Super 8 and 16, and the first videos I did were really Gangrene videos, Gangrene Alcohol. Yeah. It was kind of the first one, and that's all Super 8, some 16, but then there's some video in it because shooting film was expensive even back then. You know, you had to limit it, so you had to mix it up. So I took this thing on the road, and just was able to shoot more video at the shows. And I was editing. I'd learned to edit at these cable systems in Arlington and Norwood. At that point, college was like, I just wanted to get the fuck out of college, right? And I'll get a degree, but I didn't switch my major or anything. I went to NYU Film School in the summer of.
I know this is late. I know this is later.
Yeah, that's the Bolex. It's still the same.
Is this on the set of Soulcraft Bad Brains, or is this
No,
alcohol?
no, it looks like that, right? But I did
Yeah.
the same thing with Kiss in London. I Just Wanna, but
Okay.
but that could be at the Bad Brains because I was doing that too.
Yeah.
All my videos, all of them, I always shot footage with my own Bolex, regardless.
That was part of your early style.
Yeah. So even though I started working with DPs and everything, the stuff in Man in the Box of Lane in the chicken cage, the stuff in the woods, a lot of the stuff that Pearl Jam ended up using in their movie, Pearl Jam, the documentary they did on the Temple of the Dog section. Cameron Crowe contacted me and he wanted to know where to find the stuff, and I helped him. And he ended up using all the Bullock stuff that I shot because I didn't use it in the video.
Right.
So, so I'd always shoot some of my own stuff, but that's kind of how it started. And then I did the Eye Against Eye video.
Hold on. Before we go deep.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got to tell a story about how we kind of initially really. We got to tell that story.
All right. So I'm living with Al. So now we're talking. This is '83, right? So I've been shooting a bunch of stuff, not quite able to really find access and edit yet. It's all footage that I have. I was, and so I graduated in '82, and I spend another. I spend another just short of a year in Boston because I got a job as a kind of video manager at a public access station in Norwood, Adams Russell.
Hard.
So I have to fucking commute to the south of Boston.
Hard.
But I was in charge of all this equipment, teaching people how to shoot a camera and make a knitting show. It was like shit, like public access. It was for Norwood only. But I had access to the equipment, and these towns got nice studios, and they got these mobile vans, right? So it was a van like to shoot the fucking football games and the baseball games, Little League. So there was this beautiful van with 3 JVC cameras and a deck, and Al books this infamous show at the Bradford Hotel in Boston, Mission of Burma's last show. Then, I want to shoot it. So I basically borrow the van on a weekend because the police studios are shut on the weekend. And I take the van. I don't know what the fucking insurance is. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I just know that there's 3 cameras, live switch to a 3/4 inch deck. And I know how to use everything, and I'm going to tap into the sound. I fucking park it in a dark alley behind the hotel. And I mean, this is like back then, this is probably like a, $200,000 van, right? With like all this equipment. And I hook everything up. Everything's working. They do an all ages show and a night show. And I get you were at Emerson, and I knew you.
I was at Emerson. And we connected, and this is as I thought the story you were going to tell. If I remember correctly, we connected because I knew Alec because he was promoting the hardcore shows. But didn't I drag my drum set over to your place?
Oh yeah. So let me do that. Let me just finish this.
Yeah.
So the Mission of Burma.
We'll do the Bradford thing first.
Big first thing. And I get my friends to operate cameras who kind of know, and I'm in the van live switching, and this is the first thing that happens.
And you asked me, and I was I was one of the cameras.
Yeah. You were at Emerson at the time. You were in the film, whatever. I don't know where the fuck you were, but you were like you knew how to use a camera. And the first thing that happens, I wasn't even ready yet, is Negative FX comes on stage. It's the first thing that happens at the Hardcore Matinee. And they come on, just fucking explodes. Fucking shit goes flying, kids all over. I roll late, right? Because I wasn't ready. And you see me running across the stage at one point to fix some cable. Fucking thing, what does it last? 45 seconds. And the fucking stage manager got so freaked out, he pulled the power on the building and it goes dark. And I was freaked out because I go, what the fuck happened to this $200,000 band?
and I think we beat the shit out of him, right?
Oh yeah, something happened to him. I think.
So wait,
who's the drummer in Negative FX?
Dave Bass.
I think he fucking hit him with a cymbal or something.
And here we go.
Yeah.
Come on.
You're playing video. Oh yeah. Oh, there's the ruckus. Oh, there it goes. Fuck.
And you see me? That's me in the white shirt.
Yeah.
That's me in the white shirt. Wait,
Yeah.
actually, here's where yeah.
Here I am going by. Right at the beginning.
I kicked the guy in the head. I kicked the guy in the head as I walked past. And then you see me right here walking. That's me in the white shirt.
That's right.
And there I am. There I am going across again in the brown leather coat because I was worried about a camera. Yeah. Man.
And then
Crazy.
this is great. I love this line right here.
Fuck that word.
We ain't gonna stop, fuck you!
Great stuff, man.
Those were the days, man. So
Negative Effects deteriorates into a riot, and we beat the shit out of the stage manager. And then after that is, and I haven't seen this footage. I swear to God, I don't think I've seen this in 30 years. But after that was this stuff, which is just fucking great, which is Mission to Burma. So great, man. And what's interesting, and I'm shooting one of these camera angles, and all the hardcore kids, we were like fucking tearing it up for Mission to Burma.
Yeah, I think I had like a headset. I was talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Maybe I can't remember because I was in the band.
I remember, yeah.
But this is an amazing show. After Negative FX at the hardcore matinee, I think the Dangerous Birds played. It was like a all-female kind of Boston rock band. I think that was the next band up after. I can't remember. But these Burma shows were phenomenal, and I'm going to remaster this stuff.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
I found all the footage.
Look, like for those out there, that's the whole crew. There's Dave Smalley. The whole gang is right. This is the whole gang right here.
For my revolver, that's when it all gets blown away. That's when I reach for my revolver. The spirit tries to find its way.
Yeah, it
Great.
was great. I think I worked with Rick Hart to put it out on VHS. And then I worked with him. I think he owes me money. I got to track him down because he paid me. He paid me for the first release, and then he re-released it on a video CD with an album. And he owes me money on that. But I'm going to remaster this and revisit it and 4K it and all that. And then one or two tapes got stolen out of my car in New York City in like 84, 85. I was going home from an edit room, and I had those tapes with me. I didn't have all of them, just two from the hardcore matinee, but I had backups. And I parked my car. I went to see a show at the Cat Club on 13th Street, and I came back. My windows were busted. This is when like everybody, you couldn't leave your car.
My brother got my dad's car stolen when he went to the Cat Club one night and parked it outside the Cat Club.
So anyway, two of those tapes got stolen, but I had backups and whatever, so it is what it is. But around that time you were talking about coming. So like I said, I wasn't in a band, and I was filming. I wasn't even a photographer. Phil and Flash was the photographer on the scene in Boston. And I was starting to go back to New York a lot. On weekends and stuff. And I eventually moved back to New York in mid '83. But you came over one day. We had this big house, my last year there. This is where all the bands were staying in Brookline. and we want to start a band. And so you come over with a drum kit. Al Peters is on guitar, and I have a bass. I have the short neck Fender bass. And the only thing I learned how to play was Bruce Luce, when he stayed at our house, taught me how to play Sex Bomb. And Al had done a Pill show. Pill did some early tours when they moved to New York, small club tours, and they had hardcore bands opening.
That's right.
And Keith Levine, it was I think it was at the Nine Lansdowne in the afternoon. He taught me the bass riff to Public Image, the first song. That's all I knew how to play.
Right.
So you come over, and Al, me, and I don't know if there was someone else, but you were on drums, and we want to start a band. And
I remember
Juno. There's a cassette of that rehearsal.
That's a cassette of our rehearsal in 1982.
Yeah. That's what it says. So it's called Juno. That's the rehearsal. And I ended up with this tape. It's called Juno Live at the Joint. Remember, we called that house the Joint.
Oh my God.
There. So I'm gonna digitize this and send it to you. This should fall on deaf ears only, man. It was so bad. But
wow. I'm blown away, man.
Yeah,
that was fucking 41 years ago.
It was the spring of 83.
Oh,
early spring 83. There was a lot going on. So 83 is kind of peak, Boston, Not LA comes out in 81.
Yeah.
Soon after that, Gallery East is happening. Everybody's getting singles out, and New York starts actually. Agnostic Front, they really get together in '80. I think the reason why the people think the New York scene was a little late is because the New York bands took a long time to get their records out.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have, so the Boston bands, Al Baril, SSD, he was really good. He did his own label thing.
Sure.
Boston, Not LA was an important record that
Absolutely.
National.
Yep.
The LA bands, Black Flag, started putting records out. Louie is 79, I think. So if you didn't have a record out, you weren't getting in the fanzines, you weren't being talked about, right? Yeah. So even though New York started to happen then, the first Agnostic Front record, Warzone, all that, it must be 83,
Yeah. Pretty much. But like you said, in Boston, Al sort of taking Ian's template from Minor Threat. Boston in a lot of ways mirrored what was happening in DC because of Al and Ian's relationship. And right away, Al got the concept of we need to put out our own records. Yeah. And SSD Control, the kids will have their say, was out in what, 82, 81, I
think.
Yeah.
A lot started in 81. 81 was the beginning of it being a thing.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
By 83, for us, it just felt huge. By 83, Dead Kennedys are touring all the time. And, by 83, it's our own thing, like you said, this thing of ours.
Let's jump forward and talk a little bit about the music video stuff. And I sort of doing my homework, I dated things out, and I've omitted a bunch of things. But it seems to me, the Mission of Burma thing, was in '83, but it seemed like you kind of really entered the game in '86, like you said, with Gangrene Alcohol, and due to our relationship with Al Peters. You did Alcohol, you did Another Wasted Night, and then you did Bad Brains Eye Against Eye, right?
Well, so here's what happened. So the footage for some of the Bad Brains footage and the footage for Gangrene is shot before '86. I just didn't have access to edit it.
I see.
Right? And I didn't have access to transfer the film yet.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So what happened was '83.
Because shit back then cost money to do that.
Yeah, it was expensive, and there weren't a lot of places. You had to go to a place and rent it. And you had to work with an editor, and I wanted.
It was a whole fucking rigmarole.
So I moved to New York, and I was going to I'd gone to NYU summer film school just to learn more shit, and I was thinking of going to NYU film school graduate, right? But I'm like, but I apply. And when I get to New York, I send resumes out because I learned how to edit 3/4 inch editing in Boston. And I get a job at this place called Windsor Video. They have everything. And they wanted some young guy to edit like low budget commercials and infomercials and music videos. So they hire me and I go, fuck it, I'm not going to film school. I'm working with directors in an edit room. So I'm basically working, 16 hours a day, because during the day I'm working for them. At night, I'm staying there usually alone in the whole place. And I'm going into the film, to the telecine, and I'm learning how to use that, putting my film on the fucking film chain and fucking running it. I'm going and then I'm staying and I'm editing this stuff. So all that footage I started shooting a little bit 82, but 83, 84. By 84, they start to become music videos, right? But then how do you get them seen, right? It's not like MTV is doing it at those years. So all of a sudden these UHF stations, Night Flight and U86 or something. So I'm basically just sending it myself. I call SST, Chuck Dukeski Answers in 85. And I go, I made a late 85, early 86. I made a Bad Brains video and I want you guys to distribute it. And he goes, okay, send it. I just gave it to them. And, but the big thing that launches my music video career really in terms of getting hired, is in late 86, mid 86, I get a call from Mark Pellington, who's a director I know, who's working at MTV. And I'd been editing these little MTV promos, with the Moon Man.
Of course, this is an insert. Mark Pellington, who, went on and directed Pearl Jam, Jeremy.
Yeah. So him and I are friends. His music video starts a little later, but music video career, but he calls me. I'm living in this fucking shithole in Hell's Kitchen that I'm subletting from some friend, right? Because I moved back to New York. I wasn't going to go live with my mom. And I get a call at 9 a.m. I'd been up all night, at working. And he goes, hey, this is Mark Pellington from MTV. And we're starting a new show called 120 Minutes. And we heard that you have Gangrene, Bad Brains, and Mission to Burma videos. And we'd like to play them. And I'm like, yes. And I go back to Windsor where I'm working and I make copies, 1-inch reel-to-reel tape. And I bring them over. And late 86, the show had just started. It was they were experimenting with it. 87, they launch it. Sure. So they were on every Sunday night. It was crazy. And that's what got me Epic Records notices. This company called NYHC has a little music video division. That's where Fincher and Steve Golan started, and then they left. NYHC was the guy. He has a commercial.
NYHC,
He was the guy who did the Plop Flop Fizz Fizz commercials in the 60s. He was famous. So
absolutely.
I started doing videos there, and I got hired then to do Suicidal Tendencies, How Will I Laugh? This is 87 now. I do MOD. I do Anthrax. Who Cares Wins.
Right.
This is how I meet Paris Mayhew. He'd been on the road shooting footage for the Cro-Mags. We Gotta Know video, and it was all edited and everything, but he needed it mastered to 1-inch tape. He needed it finished. So I met him, down on Avenue A or something, and I just did it. I got in at night and we did it for free. And then he started shooting for me. He started DPing.
And he was a cameraman. He did some shooting on your video Anthrax Who Cares Wins, right?
Who Cares
and
Wins?
MOD, yeah.
And Flotsam and Jetsam, I think. I think those are the three that he did with me, maybe more.
Yeah.
And then I moved to LA because I got signed to this company. I didn't stay long at NYHC.
Right.
I was bidding. I did Accept video, the German metal band.
Yes, of course.
And then I was bidding against these directors in Hollywood and beating them, right? I was winning the bids. So this company Propaganda, which was David Fincher's company, signed me in 88, and I went over there, and then I spent 10 years there. But I was a little lost, to be frank, because I'm coming out of fucking hardcore and punk, and I go to LA, I'm not in New York anymore. I'm living in LA, and it's different.
Yeah.
And the big thing happening where the money is in videos with hair metal, right? Yeah. And so I do like I hate these videos, but Brittany Fox and Danger, and these were just not good, or they were good, but I didn't like them. But when grunge breaks, that connects to punk.
So let me segue. Can I segue with this? And then, of course, you know. You did Alice in Chains' "Man in the Box," and this fucking video set it off, bro. It was great work, incredible, and is it fair to say you really planted your flag with this?
Well, what happened was it kind of crystallized, it kind of solidified my career as a music video director, because I was a little lost with all this metal, right?
Yes.
I mean, I could execute it, but I didn't feel it. Right. Punk, I felt. I did Soulcraft during those years for the Bad Brains. I did 3 Bad Brain videos. Soulcraft was in what was that? Like
89.
You know, so I was still doing it, but I wasn't getting paid on those really,
Right.
Company propaganda was into making money, right?
That's right.
So when grunge breaks, the way I got Alice in Chains was I was back in New York, and it was Halloween 1990.
Mm-hmm.
And this band Alice in Chains is playing the Cat Club, and I'm living on 14th Street, so I go see them, and I was like, wow. And they were on Columbia, and I was like, wow. And I'd done work for Columbia. I was friendly. The woman who gave out the commissioner, the video commissioner who awarded the videos, she liked my work. I saw them, and the next day I just fucking called her and I go, I want to do an Alice in Chains video.
Yeah.
And their first single wasn't tracking. And they were going to do another one, "Man in the Box," the week before Christmas in December. So a month and a half later from that phone call, I was on set at the farm in Santa Monica Mountains shooting this.
Bro, I get chills watching this, man. Yeah. This was just so incredible, man.
Yeah, and the idea really came from I was doing faxes. Lane and I were faxing because they were on the
Those were the fax days.
Yeah, and he really, he thought the lyrics were important to this song, and we were going back and forth, and he was talking about babies with eyes sewn shut, and he was talking about a farm and in the woods. And then I just started processing that, and I wasn't going to deal with babies, but I brought the animals in, and we found this little farm about an hour outside of downtown LA in the Santa Monica Mountains. It's still there. It's off of Malibu Canyon Road.
Wow.
And I remember that morning. This was so different. This idea from anything that was really appearing on MTV.
Sure.
And I was driving up with my producer that morning, and I got fucking butterflies. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm putting this band in a fucking farm with chickens, cows, and pigs. Suck. Right. I had no idea, but I just went for it, and it broke the band. It got Buzzbin. It played all the time. The album went gold, and it got an MTV Award nomination, and and all of a sudden, that's it. I found my footing with that, and that led to Temple of the Dog and The Replacements.
Kind of iconic, that first opening riff,
Yeah.
and of course, right. You did Temple of the Dog, which and let me just say also to anybody watching the show, the reason I'm not playing a lot of these videos is because I'm not trying to get the show flagged and taken down. So I'm trying to skirt around the whole fucking thing here by sort of keeping the volume down and skirting around. But, so after working with Alice in Chains and having success with that, then of course, here we go, Temple of the Dog with Chris Cornell and Eddie Vedder, right?
Yeah, first time Eddie Vedder was ever shot in a music video.
Wow.
He had been shot live. But
Right.
this is like him lip syncing, and he didn't like it. And I just told him, listen, just listen to the track.
Yeah.
Don't look at the camera. Look at the trees over there, and it worked.
Sure.
You know, it's a great shot.
Yeah.
And I had to go up there for like 10 days before we shot, because these were the same managers as Alice in Chains.
Right.
That's why I got it. You know.
Sure.
Kelly Curtis and Susan Silver also managed Alice in Chains at the time, and they said that we have this project, but you know, Chris Cornell really just wanted to make a little film. He didn't want a music video. But the Pearl Jam guys, who were Mookie Blaylock at the time, they weren't called Pearl Jam yet.
They weren't. Oh, they weren't even called.
No, they were figuring it out. I'm going to tell you a quick story. It's going to tie in. What happens is I go up there for like 10 days because those guys wanted to be in the video. You know, they had their shot with, and you know, Andrew Wood passes, Mother Love Bone breaks up, and you know, they don't know how many more shots they're going to get to be a band. Right. So they have this new band, and to them, this is it, and they want exposure. Right. So they needed me to go up there to talk to Chris and see, just figure out how to get everybody in a video. And there's not a lot of money because this is like a side project.
Is that right? Susan Silver was Chris Cornell's first wife?
Yes. They were married. So I go up there and we're hanging out and I'm meeting with each of them separately. You know, Eddie Vedder was pretty quiet, although he did speak about sports a lot. you know, they were
big basketball fans, those guys, right?
Yeah. And
Mookie Blaylock, right?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm with Chris at my hotel, and I just go to these guys. They're all there, and I go, listen, you know, so much of music from Seattle has to do with this environment. It's always fucking raining. It's fucking cloudy. It's dark. There's a mood here. And where do you guys go? Where do you go to exist in this environment?
Sure.
You know, what represents the mood physically up here? And Chris goes, Andrew and I used to always go to this place, Discovery Park. And it's literally like, you know, it's like 20 minutes from downtown. And he brings me there. And I go there and I'm like, oh my God, there's a lighthouse. You point the camera there, there's a lighthouse. You point the camera here, you point the camera here. Everything is a stone's throw. There's woods, things there. And I go, this is it. We're going to do it here. And we're going to make this cool outdoor video. And everybody says, okay, that sounds great. And I wake up the morning of the shoot. It's fucking snowing. There's fucking 4 inches of snow on the ground.
Wow.
We get to the set. It stops snowing, but it's raining. And I'm like, fuck. We get our equipment set up and it clears. And it's overcast. I mean, the weather is fucking crazy up there. So then the end of the video is in the woods, right? It's at night.
There you go. There you go.
And it for 10 minutes. We had to stop. It fucking hailstones like fucking golf balls, right?
It doesn't look that cold. It doesn't look that cold.
No,
it looks good.
No, it just fucking hailstorm happened right before all this was shot, and Matt Cameron's drums got destroyed, and I mean it was crazy weather, but it all worked out. A great video. I love that, and
wow.
You know, that was a privilege in a way. Those two videos, you know, as a filmmaker, they have legs. People still contact me about it. I'm lucky to have, you know, the Pantera videos are kind of like that too. Yeah. You know, if you direct a couple of 100 music videos, I'm sorry to interrupt, for record companies, and the execs suck. I had so many fights with record company people, right? And you walk away with 10 that you like out of 200, you've had a good career, because it's about marketing. It's about making commercials for bands. It's about selling records. Yeah. And none of those people really gave a fuck about what you might call cinema.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's a shot of you. You know, we're talking so much. I'm so excited about it. I have all these great pictures, you know.
I sent you these pictures.
Here's a great shot of you on the set, right, with Jerry and Alice and Alice in Chains. And And here's another one that you sent me, which is pretty cool. If I'm understanding this correctly, this he got the tattoo of dude from the video on him.
Yeah. So that guy who I hired to do to play that role was a friend of ours. John.
Excuse me. Is that the guy that worked at Smalls?
Yeah, yeah. That's fuck. Why can't I remember his name?
I remember this guy. That was
he's one of John Seidel, who was
one of John Seidel, who owns
oldest friends, and he worked in the parking lot. And I needed this kind of Jesus kind of what do you call that? Satan kind of character for the end of the video. So I cast him. Right. And sewed his eyes up and all that shit. And then a few years later, I was told, that Lane got it tattooed on his back.
Wow.
I created that image, for the video specifically. That's why I can't remember. I'll remember his name in a second.
Oh God, there's so much to talk about. But I just want to put a note on sort of that. It was an exciting time to be working in this medium. It was like the Wild West. Could you give us a little perspective? Because I remember it as well. I was in that area. But tell us about it. It was an exciting time. There wasn't a lot of barriers. Paint us the picture.
So I, as a New Yorker, I moved to LA I start coming to LA in '87 a lot. Right, to direct videos. I had to come here to do Suicidal, right?
Right.
And 88, I just end up staying in LA longer and longer and longer, and I get a car, and I share an apartment with John Seidel, and all of a sudden I'm living in LA. I never gave up my New York apartment. And LA at this time, if you're a music video director in the late 80s in LA, it's booming. And I was lucky enough to get signed to this company, Propaganda Films, which was started by, Steve Golan, rest in peace, Academy Award-winning producer, and David Fincher's partner. It's their company, really, with some other people. And there's like 12 directors.
And Propaganda was hot.
Yeah, it was 11 directors. The week I get there, David Fincher just breaks the budget record. He gets $800,000 to do Express Yourself for Madonna. That was the budget. That was the week I got signed. Wow. The week I get signed to Propaganda, there's 10 other directors. There's Fincher, there's Dominic Sena, who did all the Janet Jackson stuff. There's these huge directors, but the music is changing. Things are changing, and I started outbidding some of those guys. So they signed me. And I was happy to get there, but I'm like a pea in this pod, right? And I get signed the same week as Michael Bay. Michael Bay and I both get to Propaganda the same week. And I remember going over to have a meeting with my rep, my agent, and she shows me, she goes, oh, here's the other guy we signed this week. And they play me a video. His first video, calling card, was a Donny Osmond video of Donny Osmond in the desert, sweating without a shirt. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, I swear to God, just as a New Yorker from fucking coming out of fucking punk, I'm like, fuck, am I at the right place?
Right.
Because it couldn't be more different than the shit I do. Sure. But like I said, it was really exciting. It was booming. Propaganda, we got to bid on everything, and it was an exciting company to be at. I got about half a dozen MTV nominations then for The Replacements, Alice in Chains.
Here's one that I really like. You directed Kiss Unholy.
Yeah. I
mean, but you did a couple of Kiss videos.
So
right?
I did. So Kiss. So what happens is I do all the Pantera videos basically from the first two records. I do all the videos from Cowboys from Hell.
Okay, we got it. Wait,
and then I do one for the second record.
And you did the song. You did the video for the song "Cowboys from Hell."
Yeah.
Which really broke that band.
Yeah. That was an incredible live video. We shot it in Dallas at a club they played at. I forget the name of it right now. It was a famous club in Dallas. And
Is that Deep Ellum?
No. It was a really simple name, but and I shot 3 videos that day for them. I shot Cowboys from Hell was the lead one, and I shot the second single was what's the name of the second single?
Cemetery Gates.
No, that was the third one. Cemetery
Psycho Holiday.
Psycho Holiday. So the whole deal was like, let's do Cowboys from Hell and Psycho Holiday live.
Right.
And then before we left, it was 2 days of shooting. 1 day without a crowd, and then we shot the
Trees.
live show.
Was it called Trees? The club?
No, it was called
Yeah. Okay.
I
A couple
should've
of people
researched.
asked if it was Trees.
No, it wasn't
Yeah.
Trees. This is 80. What is this? This is 90.
This is
right?
it's looking to me to be 1990.
Yeah. So
The basement.
the basement. It's the basement.
Kevin Gartland with the
This is the
assist.
basement.
Yeah.
And so Cemetery Gates, before we wrap, I go, let's do one take of Phil singing this ballad. It's one take. It's him alone on the stage. It might have been 2 takes. It was like a close up and a wide shot, or I zoomed in and out. 1 take. And that's all we had. And then all that other stuff in the video of the kid digging the grave and the band.
Wow.
That was shot a couple of months later in LA. But it's 1 take. And then that became a hit for them. Yeah.
You know, it's fun. It's funny when you get this perspective. You know, people. For a lot of the people watching the show, these were iconic videos that really, set them on a course. And then when you hear the background, that it wasn't a big production. We did 1 take.
All that. The thing when I look at Cowboys from Hell, I shot that the same way I shot Eye Against Eye.
Right.
I had DPs and stuff, but I was there in the fucking right at the edge of the stage with my Bolex, and all those shots that are low angle, fucking crazy shit. That's all from my Bolex in Cowboys from Hell.
And then
those videos,
the Kiss stuff.
Kiss does a hard rock album, their last album without the makeup.
And it's a great record. It's called Carnival of Chaos or something.
No, it's
Carnival
called
of Lost Souls.
No, that's the previous one. It's called fuck, man, we're getting old. What the fuck's happening to our brain?
Hold on.
Somebody's gonna get it. It's
what was the Kiss record they did?
One word. It's one word. The last
Unholy.
one. Unholy is on it. It's the lead.
It'll come. Revenge.
So, Unholy is the first single, and Gene liked Pantera, and he wanted this to be a hard rock video.
Right.
And so, but they still take bids. These guys are businessmen.
Sure.
And I get, but Unholy is about kid. There's like references to kids and children in it. And it reminded me of The Omen. Remember that movie, The Omen?
Yes,
of
course.
Kids?
Of
And
course.
so I come up with this idea, and I go pitch Paul and Gene at their manager's office. And I remember I go in, and I go, I'm going to start the video with the sonogram of an unborn child.
Right, and that's what you did. Yeah.
And that's what I do. And I come in with a sonogram and I show it to them and I play the song. And this is how we start. And then it's going to be dark. It's going to be moody. You guys are going to look super cool. And they said, okay, thank you. I left the meeting. 10 minutes later, my agent calls me. She goes, you got the job. They just canceled all the other pitches.
Wow.
and I did 3 videos with them. The thing with the Kiss records is by the time you get to the 3rd single,
you did Unholy, I Just Want to, and another great one, Domino,
right?
Fucking great song.
And that shot you showed is me. Domino is Gene is driving around Ventura Boulevard. We went up into the valley in this Cadillac, and I was just giving him some direction there in the car. We shot all night long. And then the live stuff for Domino we shot at SIR, the rehearsal space.
Yeah,
But those guys were great to work with. I got to tell you, man, they're super pro. Gene is committed, man. Gene would stay at the shoot. Like I'd wrap the band, and then I'd have all this like, concept stuff to shoot. Like the kids, he would fucking stay to the fucking very last minute at night. He just wanted to make sure we were doing our job.
I've always heard that about Gene Simmons.
He was there.
You know, he's tough, but he's fair, and he's incredibly committed.
And I'd have to go to his house and talk to him about these things. You know, he had this fucking crazy house with this office, and he had all his Kiss shit there. And I liked working with Gene. You know, years later they hired me to try to, when they put the masks back on, the makeup back on, they hired me to try to go to their old footage and make some demo reel, but it really wasn't working. Yeah. I was just telling them, you guys should just go shoot something new. Yeah. And they really wanted me to make it happen, and whatever. And then they went off and hired Wayne Isham to shoot like live stuff. It was like fun.
When in doubt, call Wayne Isham.
I did, you know, and I actually after Propaganda got sold to Polygram in 1994 or 95, and there was an exodus, and I'd already started Slam Dance. Right. So a lot of the original director, David Fincher, left, started Anonymous. There was an exodus, and I went to Wade Isham's company. I was at the company, you know.
The company, right? The company, sure.
But so when I did videos later on, I was at the company. Like when I did Territory for Sepultura, I was at Wayne Isham's company.
You know, thanks for reminding me, man, because this video right here. Man, what can I say? This fucking video was so groundbreaking, so great. You went to Israel to shoot this?
Yeah, so Roadrunner, they're on Roadrunner.
Yep.
I forgot that you would know the guy.
It was either Howie Abrams or big Scott Gibbons.
Scott Gibbons was the guy, the marketing guy. So he's the one who went out for the video bids. Howie Abrams was probably there, and so
Scott Gibbons.
Mike Gibbons was there too, right? Wasn't Mike Gibbons
briefly
there?
But Scott Gibbons, just for the record, you know, Scott Gibbons was the guy that gave us Biohazard Punishment, you know, and Typo Negative, Black Number One. He was the guy.
So Scott Gibbons he actually comes to my apartment.
Wow.
And he goes, I'm going to come over to your place. And I'm like, can't I come over to Roadrunner? I'm coming over to your place. So he came over to my apartment, and he goes, the Sepultura guys like the fucking Pantera videos, right? And they want to work with me. And he goes, you know, this song is about war for territory, and they want to shoot. The Cavalera brothers have this idea of going to Israel. Now, to be fair, this is right when Clinton and Arafat signed a peace deal, so things are kind of cooled off in Israel during this time.
Sure.
So Roadrunner puts up the money for this. And the whole idea was I never shot the full song anywhere because I wanted value in locations.
That's right.
Rather than wasting too much time shooting. So everything was storyboarded.
Right.
With specific locations. I went there to scout. That was the Dead Sea where you just saw.
Right. I was scrolling down.
And then I had a B camera. Yeah, that's the Dead Sea.
Woo!
So we went to Masada. I fucking fainted in Masada from heat exhaustion.
Yeah, I've been there. It's hot.
Fucking guy was gonna evacuate me by helicopter unless I drank 3 bottles of water. So I started puking at the end of the day. We ended our day there. But I also had this guy, this friend of mine from LA, go out with a Bolex on his own. So while I was shooting with the band, I had this guy traveling all over Israel with a Bolex,
And,
getting
and that's what like this kind of stuff
yes,
is?
yes, that's all single frame Bolex.
Wow.
And he went to the border of Lebanon. He went to the Sea of Galilee.
Like all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff was a B camera. I shot. But all the kind of edgy, quick cut, handheld, like that, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just this guy we shot for 3 days or 4 days. I scouted we were there for 10 days. And this other guy was off for 4 days on his own. I trusted him. And then I had to, so then.
Just shooting like lifestyle B-roll stuff.
Yeah. This is the Knesset. They let us shoot at the Knesset.
That's
you know, I couldn't believe we got a fucking permit to shoot at the Knesset.
That would never, ever happen.
That's like the parliament of Israel, and we got to shoot them.
Yep.
So anyway, what was the rest of the story on this is that, of course, Roadrunner is releasing the record. The single's coming out. They need it yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. So, and the Roadrunner is really, you know, the home office is London. You know, there was a European label originally, you know. Sure. The guy, what was his name? Case Vessels. He was
Case
Dutch.
Vessels. Yeah, that's right.
And so I had to go edit it in London because they had already booked this medieval castle in Wales to have the record release party, and they wanted the video ready for that. Wow. It was fucking weird. So I go to London to do the telecine and edit. And I edited a lot of my own videos. So I'm editing it and I couldn't finish it on time. I just bring like the best rough cut to this, you know, one of these shindigs where they invite all the press.
Sure.
It's in a fucking castle. And it's like, oh my God, this is so cliche. It's like a metal band and they fucking rent a medieval castle. And we're sitting at these long tables eating like fucking,
wow,
you know, drumsticks, you know, and they play the video there. They premiere the video for the press there. And then I went back to London to finish it because I wasn't finished yet.
You know, let me just field this question.
It got banned in Canada. It played on MTV America, Headbangers Ball and stuff, but it got banned in Canada. And I had to go on an MTV, what was Fuse? Fuse. I had to go on Canada, Fuse with Max and talk about the video to tell them, no, we were showing both sides. Everybody thought it was anti-Semitic.
That's right.
But it wasn't. You know, it was.
Let me address this. Mike LaRoche, just real quick. Mike LaRoche says, explain Bolex. For those that aren't familiar with the term, what Paul's talking about is this camera right here in this picture. This is a Bolex camera. You basically wind it up. You know, you wind it. As you could see the wind on the side, and you get like 30 seconds of footage out of it?
No, you get 3.5 minutes.
Oh, I thought you got less than that.
2.5 to 3.5 minutes.
Right.
The spool holds the 100-foot spool holds about 4.5 minutes, so you can get a little more. And I bought this, and I bought the first camera. I still have that camera. I have all these lenses for it, and I also had a Canon 1018 XL Super 8.
There you go.
Those are my two film cameras. I still have both. The Canon still will work. It's got some broken buttons and stuff because it's been through hell, but the Bolex still works, you know. And it's hand cranked and it's these small reels of film.
So when we say Bolex, what we're talking about is that camera. Also, somebody brought up Monty Connor. Monty Connor was the A&R guy who signed Sepultura. Yes. Monty Connor is in the Hall of Fame of A&R people. He had the vision to sign Sepultura. I mean, on and on and on. Sepultura, Machine Head, Typo Negative. I mean, on and on.
No, Monty's, iconic.
I'm trying to get him on the show.
I have a shoot this afternoon, so now it's all digital.
I'm trying to get Monty on the show, but he's like, nobody wants to hear from me. I have nothing to talk about. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You know? And by the way, Alec Peters just texted me, said Resin is the guy in the
Resin is the guy in the Al. Yeah, man, it's funny because I think I introduced Resin to Al, but he remembers the name and I didn't. Resin.
We love you, Al.
Yeah,
you know?
thank you, Al.
Yeah,
Al is so important to
Ah.
the development of my career
Yeah.
as a filmmaker, only because he was booking those shows. He was
Yeah.
important to everybody in Boston for
Yeah.
that time, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And Alec Peters, like I said, he was around early on. He produced early hardcore stuff in Boston. And I also want to shout out our old friend who passed away, Jonathan Scarimbus. You know, who, yeah, you know, Scratch was part of your, you know, you, Alex, Scratch, you know, and I was friends with, you know, John back here. He passed away a couple years ago, and he was a big part of this in our life in Boston then too, you know.
Remember Mark Cates? You remember him?
No.
So Mark Cates was a guy who I first he went to college in Washington, but he was from Boston, and he came up. He eventually works at Geffen and deals with the Nirvana release, and he works with Beastie Boys later. But Mark Cates worked for Al, plastering. He was plastering flyers all over for the shows.
Wow.
That was,
Hey, let me take a sponsor break.
yeah.
It's a couple minutes sponsor break, blah, 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 blah. And we'll come back and let's talk about American Hardcore, the film, okay?
You got
All
it.
right. That's right. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are fucking serving wreck today. Paul Rachman is our guest. This is great. I'm excited. I hope you are too. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about American Hardcore, the film. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey guys, Vlad from Organic Grill. As you can see, we're in new location on West 3rd Street, right by Blue Note and Comedy Central. The place is bigger, kitchen is bigger, we have more varieties, more food. We are looking forward to treat you guys with great dishes. All Hardcore Chronicles, welcome to Organic Grill. We are going to serve all the events as we usually do, and we are happy to see you guys.
Peace, what it do? Welcome to NYHC Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs, Surrey, New York. I'm Debo the Pro with my homie.
Lee Farley.
Welcome to the spot. Specializing in yesterday's and today's comic books, rare CGCs, toys, collectibles,
Got skateboards, old school tapes, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer.
video games, original art pieces by your favorite New York City and worldwide artists. Let's go. Skate decks all day, baby.
We also have the young readers section here for like 10 and under. Pops. People love the Pops.
Star Wars. We are New York Hardcore. We always rep the scene. Let's get it on.
And we're back. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. By the way, that song that's Incendiary Device. It's on the new record. It's a song called Negative Attitude. So there's going to be an announcement pretty soon about the ID record coming out on Bridge 9 Records. I know that they announced a show up in Bridge 9 in their warehouse with us and H2O. It sold out in a half hour, but we're getting closer to releasing it. What else is going on? Funny you should ask. I want to mention Saturday, July 29th. If you are in Ohio, my film that I directed, Who the Fuck Is That Guy? The Fabulous Journey, Michael Alago, is screening. Michael Alago will be there. So if that's your town, come through. Sunday, July 30th at the Bowery Electric, all ages free Sunday matinee, Dog Eat Dog, Kings Never Die, Incendiary Device. It's going to jump off tonight. Dead Crew and Serial Poets. It is Scott Dotino and Steven Messino's birthday bash. And I want to say this to you out there, if you're in this area. People need to get off their asses and come down to the Bowery Electric. It needs your support. It's a big venue. It needs bodies in there, and people need to have a drink too and support these free events. We want to keep doing them. Everybody needs to support this thing. I'm going to bang on your door. I'm going to drag you to the show. Cross Island Connect, Cropsey Show, Fire is Murder, and a couple other bands, August 12th, back in Staten Island. Sunday, August 13th, yeah, we love The Take, and they're playing a Sunday all-ages matinee with Silence Equals Death, Star Car with Sab Gray from Iron Cross, Ma'afa, and Mr. Pickles' first show in a couple years. If you are down in Greenville, South Carolina on August 27th, I will too. And speaking of Israel, my new film, The Jews and the Blues, is screening, which I shot predominantly in Israel. So come on through. It's part of the Greenville Jewish Film Festival. I will be down there with my significant other, the lovely Rochelle, and I'll be doing a Q&A. Come down. Love to see you. Sunday, September 3rd, Bowery Electric, School Drugs, Non-Residents, Fire is Murder, Cartel, Dragons at noon. Saturday, September 30th, at Dingbats, Spoiler NYC, which is Alan Roberts' other bands than Life of Agony, The Take, Ice Cold Killers, ID, and Frequency Overload. And then the big banger on Sunday, October 8th, it is the Incendiary Device record release show with The Long Wait featuring ex-members of SSD, Slapshot, and Wrecking Crew, RBNX's record release show, Chum Huffer, and Faded Line. This is the big banger right here. Come through. People need to support these Bowery Electric shows, man. That's all I can say. Don't make me come looking for you. If you are wondering, which I'm sure you are, man, I fucking love this show. Drew Stone busts his ass. Man, he puts a lot of work into this thing. I want to support the show. How can I do that? Funny you should ask, my friend. Right there. There's a Patreon page. Please. There's like a $2 tier, a $5 tier, a $10 tier, so on and so forth. Please support the show. There's also a PayPal address there. If you could make a donation, there's a super chat function. If you want to ask our guest a question, you know, take your yarmulke off, so to speak, now that we're speaking the vernacular, and open up your wallet. And please get involved, man. This show needs your support. Times are tough. So please support the show. Also, if you're watching in rerun, please subscribe to the Stone Films NYC YouTube channel. Also, follow us on Instagram. All this and more, as Steve Betas would say, right? So is that right, Vinny? People should realize how fortunate they are to be able to have those shows and for free. I know, right? I want to go to these shows, but I live in Omaha. You know what? People get complacent. We've been doing them for a couple years. People are like, la, 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 la. But you know what? The last couple shows have been a little soft. Motherfuckers need to come out to these shows. I swear to God. I'll fucking make it rain in here. So get off your ass and please get down to those shows. That said, let me clear the deck. Oh, you know what? Man, let me tell you something. This show that you're watching today, I want to dedicate my part of these two shows to two people that have passed away in the last couple days. One of them is Sam Cutler, who was a guest on the show. He was the Rolling Stones and the Grateful Dead's tour manager. And Sam was one of the most thrilling guests I personally have ever had on the show. That was a big, big, big show to have Sam, you know, at 80 years old in Australia to come on the show. It was a landmark show for me. Really, 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 really meant a lot to me. And also, this show is dedicated to Anthony Mio, the original drummer for Biohazard, who just passed away in hospice the other day. So this is for you two guys, man. Thank you. Anthony Mio was a patron. He supported this show. He just loved this show, and I don't want to get choked up, man. But both you guys, man. Thank you. Big deal. Hey, Chano, thank you for the super chat for is that £5? When you do a super chat, you can ask a question. So if you have a question, for our guest or for me, put it up when it's question time. So that said, let's clear the deck and let's bring our guest back on, Mr. Paul Rachman. Great show, bro. I told you we were gonna have fun.
Yeah, this is fun.
All right.
Good to be with you, Drew.
Yeah, man. It's great, man. Sometimes sometimes things just click. Now, let's talk. Let's move forward. Let's talk about this. And give it a second. Things are moving slow. Let's talk about American hardcore. And let me grab my notes. Yeah. Listen, I'm a big fan of this film. I love this film. As a filmmaker, I just had a lot of respect, and I know what it takes to do something like this. And I have to say that you guys were the first ones out of the gate to really try to really sort of encompass this whole thing. Not just, hey, it's a doc about like this band or this film, but you guys really tried to tackle this thing as a whole, and I always felt you deserved both a medal and a monument, for this. And could you give us some perspective on American hardcore?
Yeah, thank you, Drew. I appreciate that. All words to heart here. Thank you.
Yep.
Let me just transition, right? So by the mid '90s, I'm just kind of tapering out a music video. I'm telling people, record company execs, to go fuck themselves if they don't like playing. Then you don't work for them for a couple of years. It's just everything's changing. Everything is becoming. I'm like a hard rock guy. Nirvana launches this new punk thing. I'm doing some of that, but rap and then R&B. The business changes. And at the same time, I want to make films, and I get to work on these little short films with this radio storyteller on NPR, KCRW, Joe Frank, who's a very weird, surreal storyteller. Mm-hmm. And I made those films, and I was like, man, this is what I want to do. One was a pilot for CBS. The others ended up on Cinemax and on an anthology series. And then I write and direct a film called Dry Baby Drive.
Right.
And
critically acclaimed.
And I don't get into Sundance. Everybody's this is 1994. You got to go to Sundance if you want to launch a career in this new independent film world. And so me and these 3-4 other guys, we start something called the Slam Dance Film Festival. And we go to Park City with our own things, our own films. And we create a little bit of chaos because all the press loved us because we were kind of going against the grain. Remember, this is the same year that Disney buys Miramax, that Fox starts Searchlight. So Hollywood is.
But let me just interject that, you guys started Slam Dance as a reaction to the sort of insular attitude of Sundance, which really tried to play itself off like it's an independent film festival in reality.
But it was just starting in '94. What happened was Hollywood was co-opting the festival.
That's right.
Right? Because Hollywood bought all these successful independent production companies and distributors. They bought Fine Line. They bought Miramax. So they're taking it over. So there's no more room for the true independents. So we start Slam Dance.
True independence.
This will be our 30th year. Wow. We discover Chris Nolan. Chris Nolan's first film, The Following. Oppenheimer is coming out soon. He premieres at Slam Dance. The Russo brothers. Steven Soderbergh keeps coming back because he loves what we do with some of his films. Lynn Shelton, R.I.P., this great Seattle filmmaker, women filmmaker. So Lena Dunham's first short was at Slam Dance. So we fill this void. It's a very small, by the numbers festival. It takes place at the same time as Sundance. So I'm going into the independent film world, and I'm not looking back. The last music video I ever did was in 1997. and it was for the Crow soundtrack to the Crow 2. I can't even remember the band, right? I don't think they're around anymore. So I get I'm in the independent film world now, making short films, independent films. And in 1999, and I moved back to New York in 99. I want a different flavor here. I moved back to New York in 99. The minute I moved back, I get an offer to direct a feature, a $2 million feature financed by these guys from Wall Street who want to go to Hollywood, called Four Dogs Playing Poker.
Right.
It has Forrest Whitaker, Balthazar Gelly, Olivia Williams. It's like an LA noir film. And I was contracted for that. So I moved back to New York, and I have to go back to LA to do this movie that ended up taking a year and a half because money issues and everything. So I was just, I ended up broke after that because I only got paid for this much. And it was like fucked up. But while I'm back in New York, before I go do this movie, I run into Stephen Blush on the street. I haven't talked to him in years. I remember him from Seconds Magazine and as a DJ at Carmelita's.
Can I put up a quick picture of you and Forrest Whitaker just to add here?
Sure, yeah. And Steve Jones. I cast Steve Jones in the movie too.
Yeah, here's a shot
from the Sex Pistols. Yeah,
right.
That's on the set of Four Dogs Playing Poker. That's our last day of shooting.
Wow.
Yeah. So the movie doesn't get a theatrical, but it gets sold to Showtime and a Warner Home Video, which today is a home run. But back then, if you didn't get a theatrical, that put me in a position where all the movies I'm getting is like the same shit. And I kept saying no to my agent. I don't want to do that. I don't want to become that. It was a cool movie, but if it didn't come out in theaters, it was direct to video, right?
Sure.
And cable. And in 99, 2000, that's different. So anyway, I run into Steve on the street, and he tells me, we hang out a little bit. And he says, I'm writing a book on hardcore. And so, like Al Peters was the promoter in Boston, Stephen Blush was the promoter in college in DC. So the bands, we knew of each other.
Sure.
So, and we lived that same hardcore lifestyle of bands staying on our floors and everything.
Sure.
So I told him, I'm making movies now, and he says he's writing the book, and I go, I want to make a documentary about that. Do you want to make a documentary? Let's make that film. And this is 1999. Yeah. The book isn't finished. He's finishing the book.
Right.
And so we decide to talk about it. I'm looking forward to the book. And it's just something in passing. It wasn't like we sat down and organized ourselves to make this movie. I just mentioned it. So I go away for a year and a half because this fucking movie took a year and a half. And I come back to New York in 2000, late 2000, early 2001. The book comes out, 9/11 happens, and the book comes out, and I start talking seriously with Steve. Let's do this. I say, he has, I didn't want to do a traditional option. We've got to make this together. We're both from the scene. Mm-hmm. So we just have this pact that we'll own it together. We'll make it together. I own all the equipment. I'll be a producer, director. He can take producer, writer credit. Yep. But we're making this together, and the book is the roadmap. Everybody that Steve doesn't know, I know. Anybody that I didn't know, Steve knows. And it just made sense.
Yep.
So I'm back in New York, and I go back to editing just to pay some bills. Mm-hmm. And I'm working nights, working on some TV shows. And the first shoot for American Hardcore is in October 2001. So this is how early we thought of this, right? The movie comes out in 2006, right? So we start talking about it in 99. 2001, the first shoot. This is self-financed, right? I'm shooting mini DV cam, small cameras. I have all the equipment. I have lights, mics, everything. And we get in the car, we go to Boston, and the first shoot is all the Boston interviews and the SSD reunion of Springer coming to Al's house.
So
that
great.
Is October 2001. I remember we were staying in a hotel in Cambridge, and across the street there was like a memorial to 9/11 already.
Right.
I mean, there's the picture after the shoot.
Yep. That's Blush on the left, Nancy Burrill and Al Burrill in the front. Our good friend Jamie Sharapa with Angie Sharapa and
Yep.
you on the right. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think Springer had left by that time. He'd already left, but we did that shot right before we got in the car to leave. And I remember we had to leave the car running. It kept stalling on us. It was fucked up. But anyway, so that's the first shoot and the way we financed this. Now, I brought the book, I remember, so I knew all these distributors because of Slamdance. I have connections in Hollywood. I remember bringing the book around and everybody said, no, nobody wants to give me a little bit of money to make this documentary.
Right.
So we end up self-financing it. You know, I'm working as an editor, putting money in, and every few months we go out on the road. So there was a trip to DC, there was a trip to Boston. The next one I think was DC. We do 2 California trips.
Yep.
We go all the way down to Virginia, you know.
Reed to do. That's where you did Reed and
all that.
Yep.
And then,
by the way, I just rewatched it the other night. So
yeah, and we're getting all this archive from people like Steve I in Philadelphia. He was the guy who had a camera like that one you showed earlier.
Yeah,
he put it on 8-hour mode, SLP, where he said, okay, there's like 30 shows on this tape, and I'm like, how is there 30 shows on this tape? And it was like 8 hours of shows, you know. So,
yeah, when you could take a VHS and put it in 8-hour mode.
Yeah, and you know you make the calculation. Fucking hardcore show lasts like, you know, 3 bands last like an
8
hour,
hours.
minutes, you know. So anyway, we're getting pictures, we're talking to people. The movie is getting built. I'm working daytime as an editor, cutting commercials at this point because I don't want to direct music videos again. I was offered some, and I'm like, fuck it, I want to make this movie. So to me, like staying in New York, editing commercials, and editing at night American hardcore, 16-hour days again, like when I started my career when I was fucking 20.
Right.
And the movie took, by the 4th year, by 2004, the movie starts taking shape. But we still wanted to go to the Midwest. We still wanted to go to Texas. We still wanted to go to the Northwest. But I decide, you know, this is a pretty good cut. And I don't want to take it to Slamdance. I send it to Sundance.
Right.
I send it to Sundance. And lo and behold, in November of 2004, my wife and I go to the Dominican Republic for a weekend over Thanksgiving. And I'm not checking my machine. So there's no cell phones. It's like voicemails on a phone machine, right?
Sure.
And the last day there, I decide to check the machine. Sundance had been calling me for 4 days. And they go, hey, the first one is like, hey, it's so-and-so from Sundance. We'd like to program American Hardcore. Please call us back. Beep. Next message. We left you a message yesterday. We haven't heard from you. You know, we usually get a call back right away. He's like, call us. And then I check my emails from them. It was like 6 messages. And then there was like the last one was like, the press release is coming out tomorrow. Please call us. We love your movie. We want to program it. I finally call them. I go to one of those phone places in the Dominican Republic right before it closes, and I'm in a booth, and I get them on the phone, and that was it. So that's November. That's Thanksgiving 2004. The film is going to world premiere at Sundance mid-January 2000. That's 2005. Sorry, 2005. I send it to Sundance. The movie's going to premiere mid-January 2006. So we basically have a month and a half, under 2 months to finish the movie. And we get a couple interviews, and we say, fuck it. We can't go to all these places. We don't have the money. We don't have the time. We got to finish the movie with what we got. And we get footage to talk about all those areas we didn't get to. And we finish the movie and go to Sundance, and we bring the Circle Jerks and DOA with us to do shows.
Is that
world
what,
premieres.
Is that what this shot? Is this the Jerks playing Sundance right here?
Yeah. Vans was our sponsor. It's expensive to bring a movie to Sundance. You know, the publicity, we had to get a house, we flew everybody in. So Vans became our marketing partner for that, and eventually for the movie. But I remember they said, okay, we'll give you $2,000. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. You know, I need like 20 grand. And so I write a letter to the CEO or the head of marketing, and I go, you know, $2,000 just isn't going to do. They love the movie, and their brand is built on this shit: skateboarding, punk rock.
Is this from Sundance? This picture?
Yeah, this is us at some press thing.
Okay, go on. I want to hear the sponsorship story.
Yeah,
Great. Go on.
so Vans is like fucking going cheap on us. So Steve and I write this letter. I write this letter, and Steve just goes, fuck, man, you know, that's a good letter, because I was just pissed. And when I'm pissed, I write good letters. Yeah. And I tell this guy, listen, I can't tell the Circle Jerks and DOA to come and play our party for nothing, because, and you know, we don't have the money to fly him in. And you guys built your brand on the sweat of the backs of these people. Oh, and I have this letter. I couldn't find it last night. And the next day they say, we're going to give you $12,000.
Woo!
Literally. And that allowed us to fly everybody there. We got a big house. Shit's expensive in Park City during Sundance, you know?
Yeah.
And my wife became our publicist. And we go, and, you know, the business is changing. And Sony Classics ends up making an offer that we couldn't afford the offer the first. And then they added some territories. You know, they took like 6 or 7 territories around the world. Wow. And we got a deal, and that ended up paying for the whole movie. Because you know, everybody in the band, every piece of music every band got paid for their music. Every band got paid if they were on the soundtrack. Everybody got paid.
Let me ask, and I remember talking to you about this and talking to Blush about this, and I have it in my notes, and I'm going to read my notes verbatim. Is like, was this film in a lot of ways like the last one in the door from that era? Like because I know you know that sort of model. It was sort of the end of that sort of model, and you guys said to me like we were really the last one in before the door closed.
Well, yeah, I guess what you're talking about is really the business starts changing because
yes.
You know, Netflix was still renting DVDs.
Yeah.
You know, our DVD sales were great.
I mean, the fucking film got picked up by Sony, you know,
they put it into like between 600 and 800 theaters, you know, in the US and Canada. And they had Germany, they had Japan, they had New Zealand, you know, so it got out there, you know. And the thing is in 2000, by the end of 2006, Netflix starts streaming. Yeah. Right. Streaming starts. So it's the beginning of the death of DVD. It's the beginning of the death of, you know, 2005, 2006 is the end of independent film that was birthed when Steven Soderbergh brought Sex, Lies, and Videotape to Sundance. Right. So 1989, 2006, there was a model of foreign sales. Foreign countries were into the American independent film movement. You could finance films with a good script and a couple of cool actors. And then you could make your money back on VHS and then DVD, you know, so those things sold well. That model gets destroyed by streaming, and we're at the pinnacle of it right now with the writers and the actors on strike. This is the fight.
Yeah.
So this is like the last deal like that. 2007, 2008, no movies sell at Sundance. The year we were there.
I remember that. Yeah.
It was like dry. We also get a soundtrack deal from Rhino, which is on Warner Brothers. I think we have the last fucking old school soundtrack deal. They did vinyl, they did CD, we got like a good paycheck for that, for considering what it was, where every band got paid for the soundtrack who were on the soundtrack. but that was the end of all that shit because it's like, iTunes starts, everything goes digital. So so there is a changeover here. And then 2008, there's the financial crisis that crashes everything. So nothing recovers in the film business, and it's only gotten worse since.
Yeah. I remember at the time when American Hardcore came out, I was living in Vermont, and I was raising a kid and went into the Blockbuster, and there, a Blockbuster would have like, when they had a new title out, they'd have multiple copies of that title. And there was American Hardcore. And I was like, wow, these guys, they made it to the promised land, man. It was real. I went home and watched it. It was amazing, man.
We were lucky, and I had know-how. Steve, is an author. He wrote that book. He was the first to document that. That
Amazing.
Oral history is very important.
Yep.
It's a very important canon to the history of hardcore. But I had knowledge from going to Park City already for 10 years of the movie business. I knew how to navigate Hollywood and the movie business. I knew the people at Sony Classics and everything. So I was guiding this in a way through a lot of stuff that I had learned in the independent film world. And we were making the right choices for the moment in time.
Yeah. And listen, with this film, like I said, having a bit of a background in film myself, there was, I'd hear gripes about, this scene got shorted and that scene and this and that, and why weren't the Misfits in it? Where were the Dead Kennedys and boo-hoo and this, that, and anything. Now, and I said this when I did the Boston Hardcore film, people would say, what was the impetus to making the film? And I said, I saw American Hardcore that my friends Paul Rachman and Steve Lush did. I saw the film American Hardcore, and I thought, you know what? I think I could do better in the regards that, put a more of a focus on, like Boston. I think, and coming from that punk DIY background of, you know what? If you think you can do better, get the fuck up and fucking go do better. Don't fucking talk about it. Don't fucking bitch about it. Don't talk about this. And that film inspired me to, as a filmmaker, to go out and make XXX All Ages XX, the Boston Hardcore film, which is just an incredible compliment to what you guys did.
Yeah, I mean, we, our intent with American Hardcore was always what was happening everywhere.
That's right.
Southern California was so important to everything.
Yeah.
The Bay Area really gets this shit going,
Yeah.
With as a movement, it starts there. You got the Bad Brains, Black Dots, Bad Brains, 79 in DC. You got, Dead Kennedys, 78 in San Francisco. I mean, there's Death in even years earlier, the band Death in Detroit, but it doesn't crystallize into a youth movement until the fucking Bay Area, Black Flag, Circle Jerks, that whole South Bay scene really makes it this fucking teenagers gone wild thing, and it spreads. So that was important. So it needed to be a national picture. Listen, we didn't get the Misfits and Dead Kennedys because it was the peak of them fighting each other. Yeah, I was talking, Jello had a problem with Steve with something in the book. So I was talking to Jello, and Jello said, if you're going to talk to fucking Klaus and East Bay Ray, then, I won't be in it. And then if you're going to talk to Jello, we're not going to give you any of the music. And fucking, if we're going to do the Misfits, we want Glenn and Jerry are fighting. But this was an ongoing conversation. We was like, okay, let's keep trying. But then we got into Sundance, and it's like, fuck it, we're finishing the movie. Fuck it. Yeah. They're going to be mentioned. They're all mentioned in there. But we did, there was, fuck it, this is a movie. It's got a schedule. I'm delivering a movie.
Absolutely. Buick City Films says, American Hardcore told me that I could shoot a film with my little Hi-8 Sony. I never stopped filming from that day forward. I had stories to tell.
That's right. Yeah, the digital revolution did everything. Listen, I've been prior to that, I was shooting movies and videos on 35 millimeter film. You know,
Right.
and you know, the freedom I had of just getting a little Sony PD 150 DV and go out and make movies. It was great, and we had to deliver the movie on 35 to Sony. Theaters hadn't changed.
What?
No, Sony. This is a Hollywood studio booking into movie theaters. So we went from a digital master in an edit system called the Avid, right? We export a very high quality QuickTime, and then we went to DuArt Labs, and everything was
And made a 35 millimeter print.
Yeah, American Hardcore was released to the public as a 35 millimeter print.
Holy
The
fuck.
digital, the DVD was from the digital master.
Right. Okay.
And, you know, I'm actually, you know, slowly getting all the assets together to do a 4K restore, because now with a 4K DI,
right,
it can look a lot better. But you know, the Sony deal is going to expire. It's a forever deal. But
those Sony deals back then, was that like a 20, 25-year deal?
That's like 20 plus 5. So it's 20 years plus 5 if they don't recoup. They're not recouped yet.
Yeah, the game is rigged. The game is rigged.
You know, the guys who run Sony Classics that did the theatrical are great. They come up through indie film. They're very friendly. They love cinema. The minute I dealt with the DVD and Sony Home Entertainment, it was like dealing with fucking shoe salesmen. You know, they were just like pushing fucking boxes. So, you know, I'll see if we can get it back so 20 years will be 2026. It'll be hard to try to get it back then because of Hollywood studio accounting, you know. It's still on paper, not recouped, but they have to return it 5 years later.
Right.
So,
all right.
You know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But thank you for the compliments. You know, I'm glad the movie exists. I just did a screening in Toronto remotely. Of course, you know, Sony distributed it in Canada, so whatever the rental was. But Hot Docs, this festival up there, did a year-round screenings, and they did a week of punk films.
Sure.
And you know, that was about 2 weeks ago. So it still gets programmed. You know.
Gina Marie asks, "What does 20 plus 5 mean?" It means it's a 20-year deal.
Yeah.
And
so we had. Sorry to interrupt, Drew, but we had some offers from smaller distributors that were like. So, you know, we own the movie, we're licensing it to a distributor for a certain amount of time, and they're going to throw money at it to make money and deliver it to the public. So Palm Pictures, these smaller distributors were offering like, you know, 6 to 8 year deals, but it wasn't enough money. I couldn't deliver the movie.
Sure.
Right. I couldn't deliver the movie for the world. I would have had to go into debt. Sony came along and they were willing to take 8 territories and basically clear the movie, right? And this took a lot of money to deliver, right? Because we paid everybody, every single licensed track and music.
You guys were righteous. You paid all the Greg Gins, everybody.
Everybody.
And let me put in also.
Nobody can say we ripped them off. Not a single person.
And you know what I learned from you guys from this film is
every photograph.
What's the term? What's the term I'm looking for? If you're paying this guy this amount, you have to pay everyone that amount.
Not fair use. Favored nation. Yeah, we had a favored nation deal.
You did a favored nations deal, and just for people out there to understand, a favored nation deal is if you go to a guy like Greg Ginn at SST or whoever. Basically, what a favored nations deal is, basically, if he says, "Hey, what you pay me, you have to pay everyone else."
Well, but we did that, but we chose the terms. So what we did was we calculated how much we could afford to pay everybody, and it was good. It wasn't. It wasn't like chump change.
Right.
And so we set our favored nation for publishing and masters. The
Right.
thing is a lot of these bands, they at this time they had 25-year deals with their record companies, and the rights came back to them.
Yeah.
We only had 3 tracks on a major label. There were the Bad Brains had an EMI publishing one,
Oof.
and then Roadrunner, Gangrene Song.
Yep.
There were 2 Bad Brains songs and one Gangrene song that were on what we consider major publishers.
Right.
Everyone else with themselves, and we just said, "This is it." Favored Nation. Greg Ginn fell in. Everybody fell in, and then we went to EMI and Roadrunner. It goes, "Okay, all these bands and little labels have fallen in," and they said, "Okay, fine."
Yeah.
They wanted more, and so we did that. So to answer her question, when a studio gives you an advance, they gave us money up front, and Steve and I maybe got like $5,000 out of it, each.
Yeah.
Or something,
Sure.
but and then you have to deliver to them, but that's lawyers, paperwork, licensing. They're not going to put it out unless everything is tip top legal, and that takes
All the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted.
35 millimeter film. So they want the studio deals in Hollywood they want 20 years to recoup that money.
Right.
And if they don't recoup it 20 years, they tag on 5 years on. So that's the deal. But and we had really good lawyers, and it's not like we got a shittier deal than the next guy. That's the deal if you're working with studio. That with the studio being Paramount, Warner Brothers, Sony. That's it.
That film, I would just want to say again, it was incredibly trailblazing because looking at it, oh man, you know what? I'm going to go out and make a Boston hardcore film. This guy, you know what? I'm going to do a film about my scene. What about my scene? What about
I've seen
my
a bunch
scene?
of those.
Yeah,
I'm working with the guy I'm producing a DOA.
We'll get to that.
Okay. For one of the guys who did the DC film. Yeah.
So, but I know we got we have a half hour with you, right?
Yeah, like 20 minutes, half hour. Half hour is good. Okay. Half hour. And then I got an interview to shoot this afternoon.
So I want to use that. I want to use that time. Use that time wisely. One thing I want to talk about real quick before we go and take questions from around the world is I came to a screening at Lincoln Center. It was a work in progress, and you were working on a film called Lost Rockers, and I think it was the only public screening you ever made of the film. The film was never really wasn't ever really released, and it's an interesting sort of cautionary tale. I know we spoke about it a little bit, and what happened with this film? Why didn't it come out? I think there's a really interesting perspective here. It was a very good film. And tell us a little bit about Lost Rockers.
So about 2 years after, Steve and I, American Hardcore was a long haul, right? And it was a long haul after the release too. We spent into 2007 with the digital release and everything, promoting that. And then we started talking like, hey, do we want to make another film? Throwing ideas around, and this idea of Lost Rockers, like people who almost made it, not necessarily one-hit wonders. So lists started being made, and we decided. So now it's 2008, 2009, and we decided to okay, let's try this and do it the same way as we did American Hardcore. But the business is changing. It's not the same business than when we made American Hardcore. Right. This is after the 2008 financial crisis. Yeah. All of a sudden, there's no more private equity money. Studios everything is changing. Streaming is happening. Yep. DVD is disappearing. Everything is fucking changing. So American Hardcore had a vivacious, well-connected subculture. Right. It's like a huge niche that's almost guaranteed to come. Right.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. Lost Rockers, these are people that were forgotten, who most likely should get their due. And that was what was so interesting for us. So we start making this movie. I think we used Kickstarter to raise some money, and we raise money. We get a lot of it in the can. What was played at Lincoln Center was a work in progress, right? Yeah. But what's happening now is it was never truly finished. What was happening is things are getting tight, right? Studios are competing against each other. They're competing against streaming. Everybody wants big names, right? It's celebrity driven. This movie is against all those odds. This is people who were maybe connected to famous people, but they're not famous.
Right.
These are people who have great stories. So in the eyes of the film business and festivals even, this is a film that needs a lot of marketing dollars to communicate to an audience to come and see it. American Hardcore didn't. American Hardcore was kind of an easier thing to market because you say, there's a movie about Black Flag and all those bands and all these people are going to come. Right?
Yeah.
This doesn't have that. And the business of Hollywood and movies is changing at breakneck speed. Mm-hmm. I see it coming, right? And I turned the tap off on the movie. I go, we got to stop spending our own money. Because, we had Kickstarter money, but we were spending some of our own money. And I'm going, this movie is going to be commercially challenging. This doesn't fit anymore to what people are buying.
It was a pre-2006 idea, basically.
Well, it was a pre-2006 film archetype. If we had made this movie in 2004, it would have gone to some festivals. We could have gotten it, but that shit's gone, right? Nobody's interested anymore. Look at where we are today. The only music docs getting made is Taylor Swift, fucking, Billie Eilish, nothing's happening in terms of subculture, right? Yep. Nobody's giving you money for subculture.
Right.
So the movie hit that wall. And the other problem with the movie, so not only was there a movie business problem, but we realized going in that a lot of the information we had gathered about rights turned out to not be fact. Meaning a lot of music rights were owned by really hardcore music publishers who were want $10,000 a song or $6,000 a song. Yeah. And all the archival, these are people who had careers in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. Nobody had their own cameras then. Right. All the archival is coming from CBS, NBC, these kind of old music shows in Europe. And so all of that is, the cheapest you're going to get it is $100 a second with a 30-second minimum. So everything is super expensive. So, when I got the rough cut done, this cut that we presented at the Film Society of Lincoln Center, the New York Film Festival has this summer. I don't think they do it anymore. It's like a music doc festival. And I told them, would you guys be interested in a work in progress? And they said, yes, that sounds great for us. Yeah. So we play it there, but I'm calculating how much is it going to take? How much money do we need to hand this over to a distributor? And the movie still needs about $350,000 to finish. It's like $89,000 in archival video.
Yeah.
We have some of the music rights, but I think we still have about $18,000 in music rights. Then there's the finishing. And then there's all the legal that you spend to deliver a movie to a distributor. It's like $300,000, maybe it's $250,000, but it's a lot of money that the current state of the business, people are going, who the fuck are these people? I've never heard of them. I'm going to have to spend, $1 million just selling it. Is their mind. And then, so it's not a movie. Maybe someday this movie can be released, but it's not now. And I told Steve and Tony Mann, who was helping us, I go, listen, guys, this is a business problem. This is not we didn't make a bad movie, but it's not going to work like American Hardcore. And unless we're going to come up with $200,000 ourselves, nobody's giving us that money.
Yeah. and here's a little perspective, and here's a cool.
And it was hard. It was hard because Tony and Steve really saw the value in the work and the story we're telling. Because Steve wrote a book about this.
Yeah.
You know, and he writes about this. But books are easier. Books are cheap compared to movies. And trying to explain the movie business change when I'm living it and breathing it every day was hard. You know, this is a failure, and you got to fail in life. If you're giving it, you know, I'm all in the movie business, and I know I'm going to fail every so often, and this is one.
And here's, it kind of segues into this. Here's a shot of you and Steve Lush, me and Ilago, and you know, you were very helpful when I was making the Ilago film. We sat down together, and you gave me some really, really important perspective on things. And I think just for everybody out there, you know, following up on what Paul said about, you know, his situation, I came in a couple years later with the Ilago film, which one thing the Ilago film had was star power. It had the Metallica guys, it had Cyndi Lauper, it had, you know, Johnny Lydon and this and that. And Netflix just said, we fucking love this. And I said, well, do I need to re-edit it? And they said, no, just no. I thought for sure when we found out we got the Netflix deal, I was going to have to do they said, no, just the way it is fine. And it was a testament to, like you said, the industry changed and it was about star power, and they had star power and they really couldn't give a fuck about anything else.
Right. But you also had a company in between you and Netflix that had a deal at Netflix. So those are all gone now too, just so you know. So there was a window after where Netflix was starting to just go streaming, and Netflix, the big studios are starting their own streaming. So they're not licensing stuff as much anymore. So all of a sudden Netflix, before they start House of Cards, they need a lot of shit. So they started giving out these deals to these companies they trusted that was like, okay, you know, we'll give you $300,000 and you need to bring us 5 movies a year.
That's right. That's right.
And so that happened for about 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Those deals are all gone.
Yep.
And none of those people got, so your film was awesome. You got Metallica, all these, very relevant. You know, who's the fucking guy who signed Metallica, right? Niche audience, guaranteed, like American Hardcore. People are going to come. Lost Rockers didn't even have that. None of those companies with those deals that to feed Netflix, they wouldn't jump on Lost Rockers, because who the fuck are these guys? You know, Jake Holmes, you know, all these people.
Let me hey, let's take some questions from around the world. I'm not going to take a sponsor break right now, but any questions you have for Paul, we got, you know, what do we got? We got 10, 15 minutes or whatever. Please repost anything you got, anything about music videos or American Hardcore, anything. Please feel free to repost. Let's take some cool shit. Okay, here's a good one. Darren asks, with all the music videos that you made, which rock metal band gave you the most joy to work with?
That's a hard question, but I liked working with a lot of them. Always the bands whose music I loved, I always got along with great, you know, because there's a reverence that comes with that. But, you know, Suicidal was great to work with. Obviously, Alice in Chains, and Chris Cornell was incredible to work with. Yep. He had vision. He had artistic insight. He had a feeling of what could be good. He had an instinct that was really tremendous. And when we started talking about, like I said, about the environment and what brings joy to their music up there, it clicked. He was incredible. You know, the Kiss guys were great to work with because I'm working with these fucking super pros who've been doing it since the 70s, who know the business inside and out, you know? So that was a lot of fun. You know,
and you worked, I mean, I know this wasn't a music video, but I had this picture. I mean, American Hardcore, you worked with these guys, with with Jimmy and Vinny.
Yeah, so that was, we went and shot there. You see the little mic there?
Yeah.
on the bottom, the boom mic. So that's a shot I took from behind the camera. This particular take didn't make it into the movie, but we went over to New York Hardcore Tattoos to do an interview with Jimmy and Vinny one afternoon. And then we did a little bit outside talking about the shop. And then I just took that shot. And that must have been 2004.
Here's a question. This is Rick asks, question for Drew and Paul. Is it difficult shooting a band or a song you don't like?
Well, it's hard to find the inspiration. So whenever I was getting these, and I had to stay working, because if I turned down everything, then I'd be going broke, right?
That's right.
It's my job. I'm full-time directing music videos. I don't have a side gig. This is what I do. So it's hard to find the inspiration. You can always come up with ideas, but the successful videos that I was able to do always had a tone and a mood that was the feeling I had. And when you go to Man in the Box and Temple of the Dog, there's a mood there that's intricate to what the love I'm putting into it. So it's not difficult. You could make it's really easy to make a bad video for a hit song because the song is going to carry it. It's really hard to make a great video for a bad song.
There you go. That makes that makes sense. My answer to that, and I've mentioned it on the show early on. When we were doing music videos, we got the press package for, what was that band, Collective Soul, and we opened it up, we looked at it, we laughed at it, we threw it out the car on Sunset Boulevard. Oh, we would never, we only do videos for bands that we love. Early on, we did Biohazard, Onyx, all that, and we laughed them and threw it out of the car. The song went to #1 in America, and just really put things in perspective for us. And I love music, and it's like the Insane Clown Posse. It was like they sent us the stuff. I looked at it. I was like, what is this, a joke? And then, you know what? I saw the budget. And you know what? I got work to do. So there you go.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's a job. I love being on set. I love rolling film. I don't roll film anymore, but
This is a good question. Gina asks, did you have to present your ideas as part of the bid for those early music videos, or was it only money?
Absolutely. So this is something that changes in music video. When I start really working with record companies, it's in 87. From 87 through 92, right? It's very director driven, meaning that the companies have a video department, and they go out and they ask 5 or 6 directors, maybe 2 or 3 for ideas. And you write out a concept, a treatment. And that is the first step. And then it gets followed up with phone calls. And maybe there's images and stuff. With me, it was never about the money. Like, I wasn't turning down stuff. The Man in the Box video, the band was not succeeding. The Man in the Box video was a $40,000 budget. This is at a time of the music business on steroids, wealthy with CD music. That was really low budget back then. So it was never about, I remember one year I had 3 MTV nominations at Propaganda, and I think the cumulative budgets of those 3 videos was like 120 grand. All the other directors at Propaganda, they were all like $400,000, $600,000 music videos.
Wow.
But that's what, those are the videos I made.
Yeah.
So sometimes the lower budgets were the better videos. I've done budgets all the way up to like 350 grand, and I fucking hate it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Back in the day.
Yeah. And so basically, Gina, you would submit a treatment, your ideas. I mean, in certain cases, and I'm sure Paul can testify, is that when you've worked with the band previously and you have a relationship with them, it gets a little easier. They say, you know what, we love Drew, we love Paul, let's talk to him. And then when bands start having success, they say they start getting a little, hey, for our next video, we want to do this, this, and this, and you sort of there's a little bit more of a give and take. But when bands are first coming,
working with Kiss.
Huh?
Yeah, Kiss, you had to go another level because Kiss were super old school pros, so they wanted an in-person pitch.
Yeah.
So they would read the so then they go, okay, we like this one, this one, this one, this one. Now let's meet the guy and let him. You know, that was the second litmus test of like being able to get in front of them, and they needed to feel that you could direct them.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's old school.
Yeah, so with Kiss, I had to go there, and I just had this idea, and they just bought it instantly.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this is a good question. How do you not get your ideas stolen during the treatment stage? That's a damn legit question, Heggs, because it's happened to all of us.
That happened to me.
And me too.
I'm not going to name the band or name the director. Yep. It's a humongous band.
Yep.
And a very famous director at the time who was known for doing the same style always. Mm-hmm. And I did a whole storyboard and a treatment that was this very dark, moody thing. And lo and behold, it happened to me once. But lo and behold, when that video came out, I went back to my agent and I go, what the fuck? Yeah. And I showed her again, everything. And I showed her the screen. I go, look. I had my images that I used, look, and it was shocking. And I'll never go public with who it was and everything, but it was fucking obvious.
Yeah.
So it happened once in a bad way.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, but there was no stopgap for that. And the reason is that, you know, and I remember Kevin Kerslake, another director, we were talking a long time ago. He was the one who was pushing the record companies to sign a Writers Guild and Directors Guild contract so that we could have guild protection, and then they wouldn't be able to do that.
Yep. Hey, you know, I know we got like very few minutes. I just got to touch on before you go. I know right now, as we talk about moving towards the future, you're executive producing the Ignore Heroes TSOL film. And yo, I watched it. And you know what, man? It's fucking great.
Yeah.
I mean, I really, me and my girl were watching it. It's really good, man.
Yeah.
And listen, I'd expect nothing less from Jack Grisham, right? I mean, but it's really it's different, it's ballsy, and I gotta say, man, it just looks good. The way you shot it looks really good. If you did, it looks really good. And I know it's a 2.5 hour, it's almost a 3-hour film. Could you just? I love the perspective on when they ask.
So I'm actually producing 4 films right now. Yeah. 3 of them are music, and there's 2 films I want to direct that I'm not going to reveal right now, but they are music related. One is a narrative, and one is a doc. But while those are going through the process of finding money and actors and all this stuff, I was approached to direct a few things, and I said I'd rather be a producer. Jack went off and made this film on his own. Jack Grisham. I met him the first time in 1982 when he barged into Al Peters' apartment. And I was on the couch, and this giant walks in, and he had the fucking spurs on and the fucking kerchief on the boots, the leather jacket. And he's like, where's the fucking cocaine? You know, he was a fucking giant, this surfer. And I've known him since then. And I've always loved Jack. They were like, you know, TSOL was the band that Jello Biafra coined the term Nazi punks fuck off. You know, the surf punks from Southern California who were coming up to San Francisco and beating people up. Yeah. So Jack went out and came up with this idea. He wants to tell his story. He's incredibly artistic, creative. Jack fucking makes a decision. Nobody can change his mind. I saw him just like a week ago. He had a book reading. He writes books. And he called me at one point and said everybody was telling him he needed like $35,000 to finish his movie. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't spend that much money. And I came on board and guided him to finish the movie. We talked a little bit creatively, but Jack was determined not to change the frame. He maybe made some trims, and I respected him. And I go, no, this is a Jack Christian film. I love Jack. I think this is a film that needs to be part of the punk rock canon. And I helped him finish it and saved him a bunch of money.
It's fucking
I wanted
great.
to go to Sundance. I told him, Jack was like, fuck film festivals, fuck distributors. You know, they've only ripped me off my whole life. Fuck it. I just want to put out my art. And I go, fair enough. Give me one shot to see if Sundance will play it. Sundance actually liked the film, but they said it's 2 hours and 48 fucking minutes. We're not going to program it. And Jack wasn't going to change it. So my deal with Jack was like, if it doesn't get into Sundance, we're just going to put it out. And that's what we did. And Jack drove this whole fucking thing. It's his. He did everything. I love him. And, you know, watch the movie. Right now, it's on pay-per-view if you have cable, and it's on DVD, and the digital is coming soon. Ignore Heroes.
It's really different.
TSOL story. Yeah. Huntington Beach.
It is. It's really, it's unique, it's special, it's different, and it's fucking Jack Grisham. Tell us about the Joey film, the DOA
so
film.
Joey, I'm producing Something Better Change. This film is going to be ready in January 2004. I want it ready then. About when Joey Shithead Keithley from DOA is a politician in Vancouver, and he. When he first ran for mayor a long time ago, he asked me if I wanted to make a film about that, and I didn't have the bandwidth to do it. And then we talked about it again like 3-4 years ago, and when he finally got elected as a city councilman, and this year he got reelected. So there was an opportunity to shoot it again, and Joey Keithley right there. And so I love Joey. Keith Morris and Joe Keithley are probably my two best friends from the hardcore scene. Keith Morris from the Circle Jerks. So Joe called me and he said that Scott Crawford, who did the Salad Days DC punk film, had approached him.
And he did the Cream. Didn't he do the Cream film?
And he did. Yeah. Then he got hired by the son of the guy who owned Cream to do Cream.
That's right. Yep.
Because I think he was from DC or something, whatever.
Yeah.
There. So Joey called me to ask me what he thought about it, and I go, "Oh, I like that movie. You know, if he wants to do it, that's cool." Then they called me again to see if I would co-direct with Scott, and I'm like, I don't want to co-direct. I don't have time, and I'm trying to get these other things done that are hard, but I'll produce it.
Sure.
And so I hopped on as a producer. COVID hit. We had to shoot remotely. We found a cameraman in Canada who was shooting for us. And then we went there and filmed the last week of his campaign. So this is called Something Better Change. This is a punk political film. It's the history of DOA as it informs Joe Keithley as a Green Party punk politician.
Right.
And I want it ready for the 2024 election cycle.
Fantastic.
And this afternoon, I'm shooting an interview with Scott on Zoom with Jim Ruland, who wrote the My Damage book. He also co-wrote the book with Keith Morris, Keith Morris's autobiography. He wrote the Bad Religion book. He wrote the SST Corporate Rock Sucks book. Wow. He's like a journalist who's very informed. I'm interviewing him this afternoon for that movie. And so that's what I'm doing. And then I'm executive producing a Butthole Surfers documentary that Tom Stern is doing. I told him this is going to be the most difficult thing you ever do in your fucking life. And he's taken it to heart because it's taking longer. They were trying to find way too much money for that, but it looks like they found some money now. I told them, I'm not looking for your money. I'm your creative producer, you know?
Yeah.
And
don't bring me in to be the one that's got to go get money to get your film done.
For Butthole Surfers, it's hard. But Tom Stern was Alex Winter's partner. They were filmmaking partners. He did a lot of the Butthole Surfers music videos, so we had a relationship. But the first thing I told him is like, get the paperwork down. You're dealing with the Butthole Surfers. They all fucking fight all the time. Yep. So we got that done. He did a really successful Kickstarter, raised like $153,000. they're going into the edit
That's
room.
substantial.
But Tom is very creative. He wants to do a lot of animation, a lot of VFX, a lot of stuff. It's going to be a great movie, but I think it's still a year away. That's a 2025 movie at the earliest. And then I'm executive producing this prison reform documentary, which is kind of not a music thing that I love. And the filmmakers, it's so different. And the filmmakers are super talented, first-time doc filmmakers. So that's what I'm doing. And then I have 2 directing projects that I'll come on another time and tell you about those, Drew.
You know, this was great. I know you got to go. Anybody you want to shout out or thank on the way?
Hey, you know, I love all the New York hardcore guys. You know, I have utmost respect for, you know, Agnostic Front, Warzone, Murphy's Law, the originals, all my friends back in Boston, you know, Steve Blush, Al Peters, all these people, you know, that our youth, Drew, was so really informed who we became.
Absolutely.
And there's a certain mindset of being part of this kind of Reagan era youth gone wild DIY ethics, and this kind of loud, harsh, dissonant sound that was basically, you know, fuck you around every corner, really informed us who we are. I don't think if I had that, if I'd gone to film school only to become a filmmaker, I don't know if you could survive as well in all these changes. This business is fucking hard as nails, man. And you got to understand that when all it takes to greenlight a movie is one yes, but to get to that yes, it's 200 no's. And every time somebody says no, it's so easy to take it personally. You got to be tough as fucking nails. Yeah. And I think, you know, that whole 80s era hanging out with these bands and just doing it was so important to who we became. And I can see it now. You know, there's a couple of cool bands that reach out to me everywhere. There's this band Scowl that's really working hard that I think are actually good. They're the band I think that I actually like of new hardcore, like with all my heart. And you know, some of them reach out on Instagram and stuff, and it's just, you know, it's always going to be part of me. And it's hard, you know, being a writer, director, independent filmmaker. It's a lonely fucking job, man, you know, and I always have to go back and figure it out for myself. Always. Always.
Absolutely.
You know? And that's what everybody has to do if you're really doing the work, you know? So anyway.
All right. Well,
thanks for having me, Drew. It was fun.
It was great. I really,
a lot of shit.
It was great, man. And you're going to have to come back, you know, months down the line when Joe's film, you know, when the next election year, you'll come. And you know what? Joe was scheduled to come on the show and it didn't work out. So maybe you could come back with Joe and we could talk about the film.
I'm really pushing to get this movie ready for the 2024 election cycle.
That would be awesome.
However, it just needs to exist, whether we put it out ourselves, whether it goes to film festivals, whatever it is, it needs to exist during this next election. Because it's a punk political film, and Joe fucking shithead Keithley is a politician in Canada, and he's still in DOA.
And I got to get Jackie on the show to talk about his film, to talk about the TSOL film, because it is fucking great. And Jack Grisham is just
Jack is awesome. Jack, I love Jack Grisham. I love Jack Grisham. I love Keith Morris. From Circle Jerks. Those two people have remained probably my better friends, or they're the two people that I continue to cultivate the friendship because they're real people, you know? Yeah,
there you go. All right, man. I will talk to you soon, Paul.
Thank you, Drew. Good luck with everything you do and keep it up.
Thank you. I will.
You're still fucking booking hardcore shows, matinees. It's incredible.
Thank you, man.
I'll let you know when I'm back in New York. I'll be back in New York in mid-fall. I'm staying out here for the summer.
We'll meet down at the Organic Grill again.
Yeah, or if you come to LA, let me know.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, man. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for coming on the show. Yeah, thanks for all your love to everything hardcore and everything music, everything Drew Stone does.
I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
All right. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Ha. Ha. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles live. All right. No, we haven't had Tesco V on the show. But, you know, I'm a bit of a superstitious guy. So let me just finish that. We are sponsored by Blah, 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 and Upstate Records. They're a DIY, New York-based DIY independent metal and hardcore label formed in 2017. They broke into the scene with their inaugural 26-band compilation, and since then have churned out over 80 releases in their brief 5-year history. Out now are releases by Mark Rizzo's band Revenge Beast, Carl from Earth Crisis' Fryer, Fury of Five, Angry Corpses, with a few more surprises in the works. Check them out and a whole lot more at www.upstaterecordsnewyork.com and use the code STONE10 for 10% off. Last but not least, looking for extreme music? DTFM Vinyl has got you. Located on 13th Ave in Fargo, North Dakota, we have the state's best selection of punk, hardcore, metal, ska, oi, and more. Can't make it in? Shop online from anywhere in the country at www.dtfmvinyldistributor.com. DTFM Vinyl, where the policy still is and always will be death to false metal. That said, nobody has to go running off. I'm going to do a couple minutes. Hold your horses. Vinny Doak, thank you. You always say that after a great show. Oh yeah, that was a great show. 265 fucking shows in. I know what a great show is. You know, is that right? I need a Women of the. You know, I had a Women of the Pit sticker. There was. I couldn't find. I didn't want to put it over somebody. Yo, Hegs, I got the A7 Rampage Mosh Crew sticker. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Paul was great, man. That seriously, that could have been. We could have gone on for. There's so much we didn't talk about. And I watched the Jack Grissom film, and it's out there. It's really, really great. So I highly recommend that. I want to mention coming up a week from today, Sunday, July 23rd, is Tim Shaw from Ensign and Fuck It, I Quit. A couple days after that is Carl from Earth Crisis talking about Zooman Fryer. Wednesday, August 2nd is Josh Jerk from School Drugs. Sunday, August 6th, speaking of American hardcore, Vic Bondi will be on the show. Articles of Faith, Redshift, Jones Very, Dead Ending. Evo will be on Wednesday, August 9th from Warfare, Angelic Upstarts, and Blood. This one we are all looking forward to. It is the Martin Scorsese Film Retrospective Part 1 with author and filmmaker Don Capria. That is Wednesday, August 16th. New York City Represent, Johnny Paisano, actor, musician, Marky Ramone, Willie Nile, Ryan Adams, Jesse Malin will be on August 23rd. And we just recently announced this from Brutal Truth, Lockup, Primate, and Venomous Concept, the one, the only Kevin Sharp. So there is lots going on. Once again, if you're wondering, there is a Patreon page. Please join the army. Join the Patreon New York Hardcore Chronicles Live Army. Chano, thank you, man. Thanks for the show as always, Drew. Thank you for your amazing works. Paul, greetings from Italy. Thank you for tuning in. Show 300 is on the horizon. Is anyone on the radar? Yeah, of course. The radar is always going like whoop, whoop. But one thing that's become easier with this show, I will say this: people, managers, agents, come to me now to get their people on the show. So that helps. I mean, we didn't have that before. I had to fucking track everybody down and beat on their door. Now a lot of people come to me they want to be a part of the show. They want to come on. And that's because, as much as me, is because of you. Because it's a worldwide show, and we have such a great fan base for the show, and people love it, and people see it. It's fucking real. It's true. It's real. This. We don't get into politics here, and we don't get into any of the bullshit. We keep it about music. Number 300. This is Sparta. Sorry, I couldn't. That was good. Who's on the radar for 300? Keith Morris, Ian Mackay, Henry Rollins, Ice-T. Who Who else? You know, those kind of things. Yeah, we'll see. You know, those kind of things. You know, we'll see. Listen, you know, show 300, honestly, the way I feel about doing the show now, I'll put the link out there and you should come on the fucking show. Fuck these music motherfuckers talking about the same shit. I want to hear what's up with you. 300 might just be like, here's the link. See who wants to come on, you know? Yeah, iced tea, you know, any of those would be great. All right. That's not, yeah, even if I knew, I wouldn't be saying it. That's true. That's true. But it's getting closer, you know? You know, what else? Grab that acoustic and play. Oh God, not after all that. One of these days I will, you know. Yes, put that in your pipe and smoke it. It's a great show. Rachman was great. Yeah, that was really cool. You know, well, the Onyx guys, you know, there's it's the gift that keeps giving, you know. There's a lot with this show, you know. There's still a ways to go. Anything else? Gracias, Drew. Well, thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for tuning in. It was a good one. It's a fucking good one, man. Can you believe that? He had the cassette from 1982, from when I dragged my drums over to his house and we jammed. He had the cassette. What? That was bananas. That was crazy, man. That was. I've tried to get the DRI guys on the show. They did not want to come on. That we already tried. You know, whatever his name, Felix or whatever from the, wasn't interested, didn't want to do it. That was wild, right? He had the cassette from 41 years ago. You know what? Funny you should say Jimmy G. I was just saying we need to get Jimmy G back on the show. So yeah, it could be like a let's catch up with Jimmy. We need to catch up with Jimmy G again. We'll do that. There's a good one. Scowl. We should get some of the members of Scowl on the show. You know, that'd be cool, right? By the way, I mentioned it before. The next Barry Electric show is coming up on July 30th, and people need to come out and support this show and the next couple of shows, or these shows are not going to be around much longer. And I'm taking this shit really personally. Take this shit really personally. So I'm going to be banging on your door and smacking you around. People better come down and recognize and represent, or we will not have these shows much longer. So I'm on a mission. Sean Brennan. Congratulations to my bandmate, Sean Brennan, for his Foley work on The Bear, the series The Bear. He has been nominated for an Emmy. So congratulations, Sean. That's really fantastic. How about that? I bet you didn't know that. Sean Brennan, who plays guitar in Incendiary Device, is a Foley artist, meaning he does a lot of the work on the background sounds and soundscapes in films and TV shows. He is up for an Emmy for his work on The Bear. What's the other one, Shawnee? The other episode, the other. I think you're up for. What's the other thing you're up for? You told me. I can't remember. Right? Isn't that great? Isn't that crazy? I'm in a cool band. I got cool guys in my band now. One thing that's great about the band I'm in is we actually like spending time with each other, and we have a really good relationship. Pray. Okay, pray. Right. Look at Sean, man. Doing it. Good for you, man. Good for you. What else? Anything else? Are we done here? Yeah, Larry Kelly. We're looking to have everybody attend so we're able to keep having shows at the Barry Electric. Let me tell you something about this Barry Electric show, right? With my Patreon, Listen, you know what these next couple of Barry Electric shows are about? They're about that fucking guy in your band, that one guy that like never goes out, never supports any other bands. You know, he shows up, he plays, he leaves. You come and you represent. But yo, it's time for that dude in your band to come down and support this music series. And that's who I'm talking to here. All these fucking guys that play in bands and can't be bothered and all that, better get your ass down here. Your fucking band's never playing one of my shows again. How's that? It's not a promise, it's a threat. So yeah, you know, serious about this, man. Not going to lose these Bowery Electric shows because of some lazy motherfuckers. You know? That's right. Much respects to Jesse Malin, you know, who's you know, struggling with his health issues, who gives us this forum to do these shows, and now people are taking him for granted. Like, yeah, you know, whatever. You know? It's not whatever. It's not whatever. This is the next one. The one after that is The Take. The one after that is School Drugs. And the one after that is the Incendiary Device record release show. Those are the 4 shows that are booked. Nothing's booked after that. So unless those shows are successful, it's over, Johnny. That said, yes, blessings to Jesse Malin. Yep. That said, what can I say? Let me clear the deck here. Thanks a lot, everybody. It was a great show. You know, Paul was talking about, you know, it's just incredible. You know, what's this? Drew Stone putting out there, myself and my family are coming to the Black and Blue Bowl 2024. Hope to meet up with you all. We'll cut you some slack because you're in Scotland. We'll see you when you come to New York in 2024. You know? I know, right? Let's hear that Drew on drums demo. What? Yeah, I want to hear that too. Oh my God. Oh. Who knows? Maybe it sounds great. You're like, what? We need to get the band back together. You know? You know what, Hegs? Just get your ass down to this fucking next show, bro. Fucking, I'll come fuck your shit up, bro. I'll burn your house down. I'll sell your daughter into slavery. Yo, you better get down to the next show, bro. So, like, no excuses from nobody. Nobody. Get crazy. Right, woman? Right? My girl's like rolling her eyes, like, could you stop already? Yeah. All right. Coming for me. Well, if you're coming for me, I will be at the Bowery Electric show. All right. Enough kookiness. Thanks a lot, everybody. It was a great show. Thanks for being a part of this. And I'll see you a week from today with Tim Shaw. Until then, do good things, and good things will come to you.